I got you. I got you. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the post MWAVE episode. We got a great panel of guests. We're on episode number 33 of the Home Theater Hub. Thanks for everyone for joining. We got Mr. We're going to do this Hollywood Square style. We got Mr. Chuck right next to me. Mr. Chuck, how are you, sir?
Doing pretty good.
Good to see that you made it back from MWAVE safely. Mr. Ike, how are you doing today, sir?
I am doing good. Doing good. I'm
All
still
right, all right.
recovering, but I'm good.
And back again, Mr. Todd. Mr. Todd was at MWAVE, and we're also going to address some technical difficulties that he had on the last show. So we're gonna address those this morning. This
evening, just show my
I
awesome paint job.
So we're gonna address some of those, and then we got Brett on the show for the first time today. So Brett, give us a little introduction about yourself, sir.
Hey, hey, look at that. Youthman's already on. What's going on, Michael?
Michael, you're
Michael
welcome to jump in too.
Say about MWAVE, right? So, yeah, so I appreciate you guys having me on here. Obviously, I've known a few of you guys for a while now. And so, yeah, I've been in the consumer electronic industry about 5 years. I got my start running Good Guys stores on the West Coast. So everybody out here probably knows where they're at. So guys, regional, got recruited over to the manufacturing side. I've worked for companies like Powers and Wilkins, Logitech. I built out their custom for the Harmony side, and I'd escaped before starting my own business, which you got up there. Thank you, with Facmatics, and then Market Maker, which is on my business side. So generally speaking, I work with manufacturers to help them develop education content for integrators, so that hopefully when you go walk into to an integrator's place to go check out some product, they know what they're talking about. And then started up Facmatics pretty much this year. So a couple months back, and I've really been posting content like you guys do, but I tend to focus on education. So I'll create webinars like you can see on there that I've done with Anthony Gramani, where we'll talk about base management or home theater design, networked audio. And so I tend to bring on some of the manufacturers that I work with, or just other guys that I know, to help educate the industry.
Yeah, and Brett actually put on some of the seminars at MWAVE, and it was great to sit in on some of those seminars that you actually put together. So we see here that Brett was on several of these. 1, 2, 3. How many seminars did you do, Brett?
I think I moderated or ran 4 of them. So yeah, I kicked it off right after Michael kicked off the day on Saturday, and then we did 9:30 to 11, so about an hour and a half to talk about media rooms. So going through the media room that I'm in process, like mid case study right now. So MWAVE was the first place and first people to be able to see any of that. And then later on, did the home theater design, where we talked about the CD room that we did last year in Sound Room 10 with Gramani Systems and Row 1 and Seymour Screens and Storm, followed by our base management class. So in that one, I actually had Anthony Gramani, so he took a little time out of his demo room, and Gary Blouse from Storm Audio. And so we talked about theater design, and then Matt Trinkline came in from Storm, and I kept Anthony in there while we talked about base management. And then on Sunday, we actually talked about networked audio, which was a very cool topic as well. And so, yeah, it was a blast. I was telling you guys backstage, I didn't get to see very many booths, unfortunately, because I was busy in the rooms, but I got to chat with everybody. So that was great. So, I always have a blast doing that. And yeah, I think this industry loves getting education, right? So that's why we we all love to do our shows, and anytime I can come in there and bring in a few leading experts like Gramani and Matt Trinkline and Gary Blouse, then all the better for making sure we kind of get some good education and some background that sometimes consumers aren't always able to get. So that's kind of where I usually try to focus.
Yeah, absolutely, and we definitely appreciate you joining in for our MWAVE post chat. And then last but not least, we got Mr. Mitch returning again. I got to meet Mr. Mitch in person, which was great. We hung out, chit chatted about a bunch of different stuff, ran into each other a couple times during the show. How's it going, Mitch? How was your trip back?
It went pretty well, actually. No complaints. It was a lot of fun.
Very good, very good. All right, so we're going to skip the formalities and we're going to go ahead and get right into the show, right? So let's go ahead and I kind of put together some I guess pictures, not slides or anything like that. We're not going to bore you to death with slides. So, but I put together some pictures and different various rooms that we're looking at. So I believe, let me see here. Let's go to the experience rooms. So we'll go ahead and go to stereo integrity. We'll start off with that one first. So stereo integrity was they were actually featuring 8 carbon fiber drivers. Ike, did you get a chance to go in there to this particular room?
Yep. I believe I just uploaded a video from that this morning on the channel. So shameless plug. Go take a look at it if you haven't.
I'm going to have to check that out and see what's going on because
Yes, they had their 824s in that room. It was actually a 2-channel setup, right? Almost a 2-channel setup, but with 824s in there. And just like last year, they tripped the breakers off again. It's becoming a yearly stuff for stereo integrity. So
That's funny. So yeah, I see that you I see your video here. So yeah, shameless plug, like you said. Make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. I'm going to go ahead and share some pictures that I've got from this particular room. Let's see here.
I already gave my thumbs up to the video, Ike.
Oh, there you go.
you.
There you go.
Thank you.
All right, so this was one of the 24s. I actually got down on the floor, and it's kind of funny because I was taking a picture, and then later on you'll see that. Let's see here. Where is it at? So that was the 2201 stereo integrity room. You'll see that Michael captured a picture of me and then sent it to me. So at least I can prove to my wife that I was not just playing around. I was actually trying to do some work for the channel, right? So yeah, I mean, this room, I know they had some technical difficulties, but when I was able to hear it, I mean, I thought that these subwoofers really put out some nice output, right? They definitely were able to hit low, and they were definitely able to perform fast bass. They just all around, just a good sound. And I had been eyeballing some of these stereo integrities. And actually, later on, we're going to talk about stereo integrity a little bit more in one of the theater tours that I did. One of the gentlemen, he has stereo integrity. I think he's got
There's a few of them.
16. He's got 16 subwoofers from stereo integrity, 16 18s or something like that. So, Todd, what you think about this room? Did you get a chance to see this room?
Oh yeah, no, it's an amazing room. And then for people that weren't there, these rooms were massive, 20 feet by 40 feet with 15-foot ceilings, and those things pound. So you can definitely it was they were clearing, they were definitely cleaning the rafters when he was playing, when he was playing some of the loud stuff. But they definitely hit and definitely filled with 824s. I mean, it'll work in a pinch, but it's no, they're incredible speakers. And of course, I kind of like the stereo integrity because that's I'm using the cheaper ones, the HT18s, but the phenomenal product though.
So what about you, Chuck? Did you get peeking on this room some?
I did, and I was impressed with the price point of these things. As, you know, not only did they sound good, but Ike was trying to reel me in. He told Nick like he's a customer, he's ready, you know. But
I mean, he
yeah,
had a hell of a deal on the all on his new boxes he had made up for him right
yeah,
now.
And I
yeah.
think these towers that they have up front, this is something that they're looking at producing also. From what I heard them say, I could be mistaken, but I think they're putting these towers out also.
Those towers are beautiful. Whatever they do, they need to put it out on the market, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are something that I believe that they were saying they were going to be coming in a few months, that they were trying to put those towers together. Brett, were you able to make it into this room? I know you had limited, like you said, you had limited time.
Yeah, so unfortunately, I did not. Obviously, great brand. I was watching them in some of the discussions in the forums today, and it sounded like they were willing to commit to doing a theater presentation for next year. So obviously, like I
Nice.
said, it was a stereo demo, this year, and a few people were already asking, "Hey, could we get you guys in a in a theater presentation?" Um, so yeah, I mean, I think that's great. Like I said, it's a great product, and obviously a lot of people enjoy them. 24s just pound in general, and it really was. When you look at the sizes of the room, uh, it's tough to be able to pressurize that much space.
And
So it
actually, I
was
think
really
the room is.
impressive, with all of them, and obviously they put in a lot of subs, in order to be able to do that. But like I said, it's amazing when you can walk into a room that size, and just feel the pressurization, which I got to hear and feel in a couple other rooms. Um, but unfortunately not this one.
For a
Yeah.
24-inch sub, they don't take up a whole lot of space either.
They don't,
Yeah, it's
and
eight cubic
they
feet.
look good
All
too,
you need.
right? They look good, and those drivers look good.
Anything carbon fiber.
Yeah,
And I think the room was
so
30 by 60 actually. I think it was actually bigger than it was 30 by 60 if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, the
It
room
could be.
size, right?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah, that's a big room.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to room 2202, which was RTJ Storm Audio. Let's see if I got that correct. Let's see here.
JTR, right?
No, these were the RTJs.
Yeah.
The
Oh, okay.
stackable. The
That's the same ones that Scott Newby has.
yes, yes, yeah. Those are definitely some monsters, right? So I got to listen in on this. It was I mean just a phenomenal sound, with this room. It was a big room, I thought, for those couple speakers that were in there, but I mean, they definitely filled the room. They didn't have a problem filling the room. Ike, what did you think about this room?
I think it was good, and I did not even remember that I went in there until I was looking at some of my recordings, right? So, but I think it was good, man. Like just with the amount of speakers they had in the room and the way it pressurized the room, yeah, it was probably one of the better ones in there.
And Brett, I think we got proof that you were in this room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think that's where we bumped
Yeah.
into each other first. So.
Absolutely, absolutely. You were talking with the gentleman from Storm, correct?
Yeah, Gary Blouse. So we
Yes,
were in there
yes.
when they were calibrating the room. So yeah, I mean, just great system, and it's one of those I think where you look at some of the rooms and there's so many speakers, right? I know we'll talk about JTR, I'm sure in a minute or two. But for this one, for really just kind of being,
Yeah.
big towers right there, it sounded phenomenal. It definitely was able to, keep up and pressurize the room, and sounded great. And I know they were teaching. Matt Trinkline taught a Dirac Live course in there. So for a room that was being used for multiple things, I think they did a great job.
Yeah. How about you, Mitch? Did you get a chance to endeavor into the RTJ room?
I sure did. I thought they sounded really good. Now, personally, I think they sounded a little bit better in Scott Newby's room, but again,
Right.
that's a lot smaller.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying by it was just a big room for, and like you mentioned, Brett, just for just a couple speakers, right? I mean,
Yeah.
but they still did a phenomenal job, filling that room. Chuck,
Oh yeah, and they
any
image quite well.
yeah. Chuck, did you get a chance to check out this room?
I believe I did. What's starting to confuse me now is all of these speakers, RTJ, TRG, RB, like the names are so similar that I'm starting to mix them up. But
Yeah,
Well,
everybody
I
just
don't know if
uses
that
three
was the
letters.
drinks that you had, or was
That's
it the? I
yeah,
know
we
we
were
kept
doing a
you
lot
out
of
late.
afternoon, a lot of late night stuff. But
Yeah,
these are the RTJs, right? Was
correct. Yeah,
JTR
these.
there?
Yeah, so
It was right
JTR
next to
makes
JTR.
that's
RTJs.
remote.
So
Yeah.
but it's just their dealer model.
Oh, okay, okay.
So yeah, they're the same drivers and
This
they're
the room that had all the bass, I
no,
think.
No,
No,
that's
that's
That'd be the
that
JTR's.
JTR room.
No, that was the
yeah,
Okay.
JTR room.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. I was getting confused.
yeah.
But yeah,
Mr. Todd,
um,
how about you? Did you get a chance to check this
I
room
did
out?
not make it in there.
Oh,
But I did make it into the JTR room
yeah, I
because
mean, look,
I
these speakers
had
are,
limited.
definitely, they can definitely fill a room for sure. And like Mitch said, they do image really, really well. So let's go ahead and move on to
And they're Scott Newby approved, right? So there you
yes.
go.
They certainly
if
are.
you didn't hear them, you can at least know that it's a not just a one off. They definitely can hold it up.
So let's go ahead and move on to room 2203. Now, I can tell you that Jeff was not playing around when he came here. You know, I mean, wait until you see some of these pictures that we have. That we're talking about. I think it's eight. There it is, eight Captivator 4000s. They were the tall edition, so that they stack right next to the speakers. And then you got the six Noesis 110 HTs, and then, or excuse me, those were the Atmos speakers, and then you have the 11 Noesis 212s, which those have 12-inch drivers in them also. So let me go ahead and go to my pictures for this particular room, because I mean, just first of all, I want to know what his freight bill was, because because I mean, this thing was just unbelievable. So let's see here. Share this. So I got a little back. I got a little back stage on. I think it was Thursday. Thursday they were setting this thing up, and you could see, just the sheer size of these speakers, and then the subwoofer sitting next to them.
wow.
So this is the projector that they had in the room. They had a packed house. Usually it was standing room only. I when I was taking video and stuff, I actually took videos from the side. I was kind of standing next to the speakers. I did get a chance to get in there later on and sit down and take a middle seat and listen to these. As I said, look at the standing room only for this room. I mean, just definitely drew a crowd. It was definitely people very, very interested in this room, and this projector was just amazing. I mean, it was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
walked in. I walked in
that's the
there.
Cinemite guys. I call it the Cinemite guys taking a peek. So I snapped a picture of that. Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I walked in there when they decided to tear the foundation of everything.
Oh, so
And
you did the extreme demo then?
yes, I did. I have footage of that stuff. And dude, I had to go outside after a while because I was worried about my heart. I was like, nah, man, this can't be healthy, man.
Yeah,
This
that
stuff,
was on Saturday.
it is unbelievable, man. Like I don't know if anyone should be experiencing that type of bass frequently.
I mean, I did the 150 dB demo at Scott's
That's God's
back when
how,
he did the
yeah.
bass brings us together.
Hmm.
So I mean,
Then you shouldn't be doing
it
this
didn't
in the
phase
same
me.
calendar year. You shouldn't be
But
doing both in the same calendar year because my
That's
goodness.
right.
Is that like flying and scuba diving in the same day?
That's right. That's right. You got to
Yeah,
depressurize before you can do
yeah,
it.
you gotta, man. Good
the
lord.
funny thing is, the more bass you got, it's like lights, like flies to a light, because that's what drew the people in.
Yeah.
Oh
They hear
man,
the bass, and it's like, oh, I got to go in there, you know.
this room was definitely cranking.
Nah,
Todd, did you get a chance
was
to?
it was really extreme. Even with everybody had earplugs on. I had my earplugs and I still had to stuff my fingers
I mean,
with the
this was a big
earplug.
room too, right?
Jesus,
So,
man.
from what I understand, there were people going around with SPL meters, and I believe someone had mentioned that this room during the extreme demo got up to about 140 dB,
That's what I heard.
and
I won't be surprised.
Yeah, I
I did not partake in the extreme demo because I value my hearing. So,
Yeah, it was wow. No, it was extreme. That's the real definition of extreme. Like wow.
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't
I,
go
I,
for the
went, I went
extreme
in for
portion.
the test on Friday night when he did it, but then they popped because his
Breakers.
wiring wasn't what he ordered, and they actually had to have people come in Saturday morning and fix everything to where he. I guess I did he do it again on Saturday also,
No,
like when
Yes.
you did, or did you do it on Friday?
Was it? Let me see. What on Sunday? I recorded
Oh,
this.
He did
okay,
it
he
on
did it on
Sunday.
He
Sunday.
did it on Sunday
Yeah,
at
he did it a
yeah,
couple times.
around
Yeah,
4 o'clock, right
but
before we left.
that's always an awesome room to go in there and find out what some serious low end bass is. It's a awesome experience, and then to to it's he's the gold standard when it comes to heavy bass home theaters.
yeah.
And
now
he's got a
I was in there.
3 month wait list.
I
And
was
that
in there on
Barco was doing
Saturday,
his thing too. I mean,
and
that projector.
That
I
projector
had a
looks
meter
great.
thing. So my phone was telling me it was 110 was the peak while I was in there, and it was averaging 102,
Oh wow.
and, and that
Those are,
was
those are big rooms too. It's
Yep.
just
Yeah.
tremendous rooms.
Yeah.
yeah.
I went in towards the end of one of the nights. So it was actually just after they had like they were supposed to be shutting down. And they were still doing a couple demos. Nobody was leaving the room, right? 'Cause once you had a seat in there, then everybody was just kind of
Yeah,
hanging out. So I didn't get a prime seat, like you said, Don. I was, kind of sitting on the side as I walked in there, but I had to hear it. And it was nuts. When we stood outside, you could just hear the doors and the walls just vibrating, right? Sometimes you couldn't
I
even
could
tell
feel
what
the
they were
clothes on
playing.
my body vibrate.
My butt,
Yeah,
like
no doubt.
literally, I was like, wow, nah, it was crazy,
Yeah.
man.
And then so it wasn't during one of the 140s. So I would say similar to Carl is probably in the 110 range. I mean, it was definitely, in triple digits. I brought in, I know by the second day, so it must have been the second day on Saturday when I was there. and I brought in earplugs because, much like you said, Donna, I do this for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make sure that my ears still work the next day.
Right.
And you just don't know, right? I mean, obviously, short bursts of time, it really shouldn't do anything. But you want to be careful because obviously that's a lot of
Yeah,
bass.
they had earplugs,
Yep.
at
And
the
so I
entrance.
put in earplugs for a while. But obviously when you do that, then I kind of lost all the mids and the highs out of it, right? Basic foam earplugs, so it's not like they were dropping everything down at the same rate across the spectrum. And so because I really wanted to hear what was going on when I mids and highs sounded good for being on off axis where I was. Bass was obviously extreme, but it was impressive, and obviously they had a lot of drivers to do it. But in a room that size, it was impressive to be able to hit that. And I know, like I said, I had heard 140 as well. It sounded good. I think it's always tough to keep it super tight when you're putting out that much bass. But it was it was an amazing room and a spectacle, and I think that's part of the MWAVE desire, right? Is being able to see if you didn't have one room that went just over the top,
Mm-hmm.
then I think you're missing something. And so, JTR definitely took the cake for most amazing bass reproduction for just and or at least on the SPL side of just being able to hit 140, hitting in the triple digits consistently. It was a great
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Mitch? What you think about the JTR room?
I thought it was pretty amazing. The amount of drivers in there that was able to pressurize that room, and I could feel it on my pants. I could. It was insane. I'm kind of curious to see what Jeff's going to do to top that next year, because he was going to try.
Yeah, of course. You got to go bigger and better each
I
time,
didn't
right?
get a chance to sit in the seats because it was full when I went in there, but yeah, it's quite impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. Todd, what you think about this room, sir?
Oh, it's always an amazing because I know they actually started limiting people and cycling people through there towards the end on Saturday, and I think even on Sunday they were started doing it. But that was always a that's always a cool room to go back in there and experience that, and people that have never experienced that. It sends you down that hole for chasing the bay.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I walked outside of the room, and I heard I heard one of the guys like that was working in there. He's like, "Yeah, they're just not getting up. They're
No,
just staying
and
for each
that's
demo."
finally
They were
because of
not.
the comfy seats in there now. Because last year they just had chairs in there. People would cycle through. Well, you
Right.
had about half of the people too that
Sure.
you could stay in there and do that. But they finally, hey, okay, y'all got to get out so we can have
Yeah.
everybody listen.
You don't gotta
Because
go home, but
people,
you
like
gotta
you
get the
said,
hell out of
people
here.
were not leaving at all.
Yeah, they
It's like,
thought they
no,
were
I'm good
partaking
here.
in a full movie, right?
That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean, even if it's the same demo, it didn't matter. But yeah, and then my son loved it too, so it was a great experience for him.
Oh
And
yeah,
we
speaking of
actually,
that, your son came along with. I'm sorry I didn't mention that earlier,
yeah,
but
yeah.
yeah, he came along with you, and we'll definitely get some perspective about what he thought about the whole entire show. Now, is he into the home? Is he into home theater as much as you are?
Well, Sheldon asked me the same thing, and he basically hears blah blah blah, 18-inch, blah blah blah, 1,000 watts.
Yep.
but 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 I says, well, I can take some of the subs out of my room. And he's like, no, 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 you don't need to do that, Dad. And then when his friends come in here, they can fit 5 in here pretty comfortable. He's like, Dad, you got to leave. So, no, I've probably ruined him for any kind of marginal kind of home theater surround sound system. So, and he's only 14. So
There you
he's,
go.
he's, he's going to go. He already knows what the good stuff is, and he actually got to go into Sheldon's room too, so he got to experience all that. So
That
But
works. That room definitely reminded me of a car audio SPL contest, right? You know, where you see the pictures of the people with the hair just flying backwards and everything else. So yeah, maybe you'll get into the car side first, and then and then that leads into in a home theater later on. I know that's how I got my start.
no, me too. I did. I competed IASCA so back in the day. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, oh yeah, no, it's a pearl. It was a parallel universe for me doing the car audio stuff and the homes and the hi-fi stuff. But yeah, no, he enjoyed it, but that's where I was kind of limited on the rooms. I could, we went into all the main rooms, but to go into the seminars and stuff, he definitely wasn't in that. And then Sunday we ended up going to the Collecticon thing for him for a little bit too.
There
So,
you
but
go.
yeah,
Very nice.
he thoroughly enjoyed it though. It was a good experience for him.
I think the people from the Kansas City Civic Center, I think they told Collecticon that Michael was having his show on this day because Michael actually moved the show from July to June.
Mm-hmm. And
Last
they
year,
were there last year
yeah,
too.
last year the Collecticon was on the same exact day in July,
Same
and then
days.
and then they're the same exact day again this year. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause it
they
was like
copied us again, and I
yeah.
hey,
Because
I
I was
was glad
looking
that
to
they
see.
did because it just kept the food trucks out there longer, and
There you
Oh
go.
they
yeah.
were they were they were
No,
able
that was
to.
a great thing too because they didn't have that last year.
Yeah, yeah. So let's move on to room number 2205. This was Cinemike, and Paul, myself, Ike, we all went out and we had some. We actually had Cinemite go out and have some beers with us. So it was great to get to know those guys, talk about their passion and what they're doing. They're taking products and they're actually making them better. So they're taking like Apple TV, they're taking Trinoff, they're taking Opos, Lumigens, all these things here on this paper on this website right here. All of those devices they're actually taking and making them better, and they actually did an A/B comparison. Unfortunately, I did not get to sit through that A/B comparison on the Trinoff, and I really wish I was able to. Ike, were you able to sit in? I know you did an interview with Cinemike. Were you able to sit on the actual comparison?
I did for probably about a minute or two, and it's amazing just from an engineering perspective what those guys are doing because they showed me samples of the microchips that they work on, and they literally hand solder those things together.
I'm going to
And
show them to you in 1 second here.
man, yeah, you can. Most people won't even see them with their bare eyes. Those
Yeah,
dots you
those
see there, those are the microchips, and those things are all hand soldered. And then they use them to improve the capacitance and all of that, electrical stuff, components in those components. I think it was one of the surprising rooms for me for MWAVE. Those black swans, she, I don't know.
those were amazing.
yeah.
If, yeah, those speakers, I really underestimated them. Those things are different, man. Those things
Yeah.
are different.
And
The,
the first day, I'm telling you, the room to go by on Friday night was this room
yeah.
because this room with these 232s, they were rocking. I'm telling you, the SPL that was coming out of these, it was just unbelievable.
It felt like if the room was two channel, but it felt like a point something room. Like the sound was just everywhere. I was looking up, looking back. I was like, how? What are they doing? And it's like, but at some point, is it the trainer? Is it the
Right.
device that is playing it, or is it the Black Swans itself? it's kind of hard to tell, but yeah, I think it was the surprise of the show. I got to speak to a couple of people that went into the room and they were all impressed.
Yeah,
They were
I
all
know. I
impressed.
know. These guys, they want to come on the show. We're going to have them on as a guest. We just have to.
Yes.
We just have to coordinate the logistics since they're in Germany and we're obviously in the U.S. So we just have to coordinate everything. Mitch, what did you think about this room?
So I went in there a couple of times. The first night that I went in there, I thought that the vocals were a little cupped. Still sounded great. I went to Ryan's that evening and heard him in his theater. They sounded much, much better in his theater. Very clean, very detailed, incredible is all I have to say. Um,
Yeah,
so the second day I went back in, they had done some tuning on them. They definitely sounded better the second day. So listened to some music for a little while. And I said, guys, I want to hear what these things can do. Why don't you put something on that'll make these things crank? So they did. And I'm like, all right, now we're talking. I told him, I said, that's how you show the RBH guys who's boss, because
There you
RBH
go.
is right next door. And they just got a kick out of that and we're laughing.
yeah, yeah. Brett, were you able to partake in this room?
I did not get to check out this room, but I did hear similar to what Mitch was saying, and I know Matt Trinkline was over at Ryan's tuning that room, before and after, and I kept hearing the same thing that this room sounded great. Again, it's a convention center, so it's not always going to
Right.
be exactly prime, but those same speakers in Ryan's place sounded absolutely phenomenal. So,
Oh yeah.
like I said, I wish I had gotten a chance to be able to hear them. I'm sure I'll pick them up at some point to be able to, find some retailer or somebody that's got a set, or maybe Ryan's next year. But no, definitely big, impressive speakers, and definitely talked about at the show.
What about you, Mr. Todd?
Oh, I went in there on Friday because it's like I was trying to go into the 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 Ascendo surround their home setup on that, and it was just like you couldn't go into the room, and it reeked of stank. So I was like, "Come on, Tony, let's go around." So we actually went around to this, and it was a great experience for, like I said, those four speakers filled up that room amazingly.
Yeah,
So I wish I would have went back in there on Saturday, but it's just I didn't go back in there. But those are amazing speakers, and I can't wait to listen to it in Ryan's setup.
yeah, yeah. No, want to thank Ryan also. I know we haven't mentioned him yet, but I mean, him and Michael they put in some serious work on this thing, and I was fortunate enough to be sitting in the creators room and kind of crowbarred my way an invite into into his theater, and I want to thank him for allowing me to come over and take a listen, because man, I tell you what, that thing that thing is special.
Yeah, we
It's
were there
not,
at the same night.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Actually, I walked in. I'm like, Mitch, hey, what's up? so, so
I
yeah,
kind of did the same thing you did a little bit.
yeah, yeah. So, I heard that he was having some. Well, he was going to be working on it, tuning it, and stuff like that. So I asked him, could I make my way over there? And Ike and I we actually took an Uber out there and brought some food. You can't come to somebody's house empty handed, right? So I think I think we took like 40 chicken tenders or something like that from Cane's over there. So
There was a bunch
everybody's
of pizza left.
so yeah, no, we got to partake in that, and I mean, just another amazing room, right? And he said that there was still a lot of tuning left to do, and man, I mean, I can't wait to hear what it sounds like. Once it's all dialed in 100% to his liking and everything else. But that projector, man,
Sheesh, man.
that projector was awesome. I mean,
He
that
told me
Chrissy,
the next day that he got the bass levels even better.
Yeah.
wow,
Oh,
So
nice.
it digs down even deeper now.
Wow, 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 wow. Chuck, did you get to partake in the cinema in the Cinemike room?
I did, and again, it was awesome. I mean, a two channel. I mean, just everything was so detailed that I was pretty amazed too.
Yeah, yeah. I thought the mid range in there was really good. Obviously, with those big horns, the and it was blended. It was blended together really well, right? I mean,
Yep.
you got those ginormous 32s, right? You would think that they would be overpowering, but I mean, I thought that everything. And I went in there on all 3 days, right? Just to listen. I didn't hear the comparison demo, but just listening to music and stuff, and it was. I mean they the Trenoff really blended those subwoofers really nice with the Black Swans. So I mean they were just awesome.
The detail
Yeah.
you get out of those horns is something else.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the 2 minutes that I, looked at those comparisons, there's legit technology there, man. I know there were a couple of people that were not sure, what else can you do to a Trina or Lumergene, all of that. But from what I saw, there is some legitimate technology going in there. It was and that's why we kind of told them to come on the show because we really want to kind of dig behind and just get to understand what they're doing and it looked impressive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So next up, I don't want to skip over it. I don't have very many pictures for it,
Are
but
you still
I
sharing?
actually
I think I lost your screen share. So
did I click out of that? Let me go ahead and
yes,
go
you
back
did.
in here. Sorry, I apologize.
No, you're good.
Let's see here. Let's share that. All right, so I did skip over this one, but the projector comparison room. I don't have a lot of pictures for that, but I can tell you there was just as much education going on in this projector comparison in the seminars. If you guys didn't partake in this, Nick and I think Andy, right? Nick and Andy,
Yep.
they were putting on a show in there, man. I mean, I didn't get a chance to see this last year, and I walked in on this, and man, they were showing some stuff and on all of the different projectors that they had in there that I it was just blowing my mind of the amount of knowledge that they had for all the models of the projectors, right? I think they had 4 or 5 projectors in there, and they weren't all high end projectors either. They had the X Jimmy. I know they had some Epsons. So yeah, it was great to sit in there and listen to their passion. I mean, it was just pure passion for projectors is what it was, and comparing projectors side by side. One thing that I did notice is if you sit head on one of the screens, that picture looks like it's in the forefront. But when you glimpse over to the other projector screen, it seems like it's back just a little bit further. So what Paul and I did was we were going back and forth on each seat. So I was looking head on at one projector, and then we'd go over because there was room at the time that we did this. We'd go over and take a look at the other one head on also. That way, because when you were looking on the angles, it looked like the depth perception of the image was actually further away when you were looking at the angle going back towards the other screen. So, did anybody get a chance to go to this particular room?
I
Yeah.
did not.
I didn't.
That is one room we kind of chose not to go into solely because we number one aren't really in the projector market, but we have seen it before, so it wasn't really anything new to us. But I know that those two are a wealth of knowledge when it comes to projectors. So it was
Yeah.
I can't imagine it to be anything but phenomenal.
What's going on, Mr. Scotty O? Thanks for
Well,
joining the show, sir.
look at the full house tonight. Hey guys, good to see you
Yeah.
again.
Appreciate you joining the show. Were you able to partake in the projector
I was
shootout?
in there for a little bit. I took some video in there, took a couple of pictures, sat down for a little bit. But that wasn't my main focus at this event. I had interest elsewhere. I did it last year. I think it's an awesome event. Everyone should definitely visit that room if they attend. Like Don was mentioning, that the guys that are running it and doing the comparisons, man, they are bright. They're brighter than the projectors that are in the room.
Brett, how about yourself? Were you able to partake in this one this year?
So I didn't get to check it out, and I kind of wish that I had, because I'm getting ready to put a projector in a new theater room for myself here. But I do agree. So just like Scott was saying, this is a room that everybody should go to. I've seen a few people in the various forums, obviously talking about price points in the various rooms, which when you start throwing in 8 and 16 subs and all this and that, start creeping up. But this is how you get objective on this stuff, right? And
Yep.
like you said, Don, sometimes you don't. If you're not dead in front of each one, it's not exactly an exact comparison in there. But you're still getting educated on how it all works and what the differences are, and if you get a chance to step around. So I'm definitely going to have to make sure that I do it next year. I get fortunate; I get to see a fair amount of different projectors in there. But as much as Christie was all over the place, and and Barco projectors. This is a great room for for the average MWAVE consumer. The passionate person who's in this industry. They're more likely to own a projector like this, and so I think that's the prime example of being able to go into a place and see multiple projectors side by side. Is invaluable, and obviously on the panel side, which I'm sure we'll get around to on the other side as well.
Yeah, and there's a lot of back and forths, right, that tends to go on with regards to just the differences between projectors. And sometimes those differences can really get exaggerated on forums, right?
Sure.
In the comment sections. And when you get a chance to see just the comparisons, it might actually sway your mind from what you think, those differences are. Prior to the M-Wave just last week, if you told me that you could throw the LS 12,000 on a 200 diagonal screen.
Don't ruin my don't. Whoa! You got a spoiler alert going here. Don't ruin this.
Okay, so let's not go there. Okay, but
You're not playing to the script,
yeah.
Ike.
So, but what
What
I'm
script?
trying
We
to
don't know
say
the
is
script.
this,
We don't have a
right?
script here.
Sometimes those comment sections get exaggerated,
Yeah,
and sometimes the differences are not what the price point, especially when it comes to projectors. And that type of comparison allows you to see it, because you might see one projector and another one, and the price point is difference is $6,000, but the picture quality is not $6,000 different.
Right. Yeah. No. It was just look. If you guys are in the market, which I mean, obviously it's going to be a long time away now, but maybe we can convince Michael to do 2 shows a year. No, but
We need one out here on the West Coast.
if you are considering an upgrade when you're obviously when this show is around, this is a fantastic room to go to. And like I said, just a wealth of knowledge that those 2 guys had, and they and like I said, they were passionate. They were so passionate that they were kind of stepping on each other's toes sometime, talking about stuff, well, and this and that and this and that, so and I saw this on the Sunday, right? So they're already 3 days into this presentation, right? So, and they've done it over and over and over again. And I mean, like I said, I'm so grateful for those 2 guys, doing that show. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one here, which is 2206. And I think this about rounds out the front half of the exhibit, right? So that's going to round out the whole front row when you walk in. There was one other exhibitor out in the main lobby. He was a dealer, and he was also showing he was showing various stuff there. So he had the Mad VR, he had a storm processor, he was
Light
featuring
escape as well.
Kaleidoscape. He was featuring the row one red theater chairs, which I just dropped the video on. So make sure that you guys go over and check out that
Yeah,
video.
Michael Bunker's who that was. I bought my projector off him.
Nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, so I'm trying to pull up your video for your let's see. Ike, let me go to your
Yeah,
channel here.
you check it later. Don't worry
Anyway,
about that.
go to Ike's channel. Check out the video that he did with it's Todd from Row One,
Todd,
right?
yep.
Yeah.
Todd.
Yeah, check that video out. So we'll go ahead and I'll move over to my pictures from RBH. Let's see here. All right, as mentioned, this was room 2206. So as you walked in the room, these were some of their speakers that they were just displaying kind of and playing them in like a two channel array. This design of this speaker, this was actually one of the rear speakers of the setup, and I mean, I thought this design was phenomenal for this particular speaker here. Just something totally different, that you don't see all the time. Mixture of the black and white and Siphonics. If you're watching, don't judge me on my pictures, man. he, he's got the eye for photography, so his pictures look amazing. This is an on wall solution that they have, and they had them set up around the entire theater. This was the front stage. This is the speaker that I believe Gene Dallasala from Audioholics has in
That
his
is
theater.
correct.
And this was the what is this, 21 inch
It is
or
a 21.
24? Yeah, 21 inch. And found out later on that they actually had an amp problem with this,
Yeah.
and they were only getting half the power to this. And I mean, that thing was cranking. So I actually posted a video on my channel. I'm going to shamelessly plug of us unloading that 600-pound crate for that particular speaker. So did you guys get a chance to partake in the RBH room?
Absolutely.
Yep.
What did you think about it, Mitch?
I thought it sounded really good. I wanted to hear music on those large towers. Didn't get a chance to. They were mostly playing movie clips.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it sounded fantastic, and that 21 did a pretty good job, even with half the
Yeah,
power.
and I don't think they had any other. I don't recall that they had any other subwoofers other than just the 21.
I think the subs are in those towers.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
do
they
have
have
some subs
subs.
in the
Yeah.
towers. Yep, you are correct on that.
But outside of that, I just saw the one as well.
What did you think, Scotty O? What did you think
I
about this
liked
room?
it was a nice setup. Sounded clean. Vocals were good. Like Mitch had mentioned, it would have been nice to hear some music because went into the same thing. It was movie demos, right? But the speakers seemed like they panned well from one to the other. Yeah, I liked it. It's a good room.
Mr.
Those
Todd, how about
AMT
you?
tweeters have nice detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, AMT. See, I'm a fan of the AMT because I have the Martin Logans, and I can tell you that the mid range and tweeter was very well pronounced in this. Some people actually had mentioned that this room might have been a little bright, but I thought it was good. I mean, I enjoyed it. This was one of the rooms that I was super excited about. As a matter of fact, I thought that they were going to be at the Florida Expo, so that was the whole reason for me traveling to the Florida Expo. And but unfortunately, they weren't there, and I got to sit down and partake in these demos. I mean, uh, they played. I think they played Godzilla -1 in here. Man,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it was unbelievable.
I
So,
missed that. I
uh,
didn't see that.
Todd, what did you think about this room?
Well, it was. I thought it sounded great, and Tony enjoyed it. But he was funny. He's like, after we left, he's like, "Dad, that sounded nice, but yours sounded better." I was like, "What do we want to do for the rest
Yep.
of the weekend? It's whatever you could do out of the blue."
You want to go get some ice cream?
So whatever we can go do Comic Con, whatever you want to do. It's like I'm cool with that. It was no, but that was a really, really, really good room. But it was just like I said, with them being for the first time and trying to do the room setup, it sounded it was great though.
Yeah, it's so they had like a 135-inch screen in this room. For me, I wish it was a little bit bigger, but I know they wanted the focus to be on the room, right? So
Yeah,
just my suggestion is that they could have, because this screen was pushed all the way back to the back of the wall, so it was kind of far away, and I know, like I said, I know their focus is on the speakers, right? But if they could have pulled that screen out in between, and I know this is a bad picture that I got up here, but if you my camera, I loaned my camera to someone, and I didn't realize that it was on manual focus when I was taking pictures, and I was just snapping away. But yeah, no, if they could have pulled that screen out further, like at least to the forefront of the speakers that were in the room, I think it would have gave a little bit more immersion. You can see the depth here, how far back the screen was versus where the speakers were. So, but I mean, like I said, I know they're trying to showcase
it's
these
the first
speakers.
time too, so it's like
Yeah,
until you actually get in there and get things set
Yeah,
up and know what you're dealing with, you can theorize all you want, and then oh yeah, that should be good, and then oh wait, everybody's
yeah,
bringing their A game on, son of a bitch.
well, I mean
I
that's
hope they
that's
come
where
back
it's
next year.
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
know.
think
and,
next year they're probably gonna come
and like
I
with
know
you guys
another.
said,
more subwoofers and all that.
yeah.
It's the same way Don had my expectation because he was so looking forward to the room, and I kind of got infected with that too. So when I walked in there, my expectations were like way off. And unfortunately, before I walked in there, I came out of the JTR room. So it's kind of hard to just be objective with anything else when you just step out of the JTR.
Yeah,
It's just
Or
hard.
look at
Well,
a 220 screen. I mean, it's just
Yeah, it's kind of
yeah.
hard. So I
it's
had to
tough
go
when you start
back.
looking at some of the
Yeah, I
comparisons.
think I had to go back there, I think on Sunday, just to be able to kind of have a neutral perspective. And yes, the speakers sound really good in terms of just voice clarity and, in terms of the fine details, for I think in a home theater setup, you will really love it, but I think just in terms of pressurizing the room and all of that, but well, that shouldn't be the goal, right? It's not about just making it, that room sound the best, but it's being able to go back and know what the speakers really sound like in a normal environment. So it was good, but I had to temper my expectation down a little bit.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can pull up that comment from Michael, because I had mentioned 2 shows a
Yeah,
year. Do you see that?
I get
That's a
out.
hard that's a hard no for Michael. So,
I
oh
know. I know.
man,
A small issue they was having in that room was the center speaker behind the screen was sitting on top the subwoofer.
yep,
So a
yeah,
few times it had turned. So the center speaker wasn't facing forward; it was facing to the left.
to the left. Yeah,
yeah, they had to put
And
like some sandbags down or something.
yeah,
There's a
one time
picture
it
of
even
that right
fell.
there.
One time it even fell off of there. The sand fell out and everything.
Yeah, they
yeah,
had to put something there to hold it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think their room, if they come back next year, hopefully they do. I think the room will be the better. The on-wall speakers, I like them.
No,
If
I'm telling you that
I
they
might,
have a
yeah, they look.
fantastic
I like them. They
solution,
look
man.
tempting. I mean, for someone who has in-wall speakers, I wouldn't mind. You know, having those on walls. They look
If
good. I like the aesthetics.
if I
I
would
think
have
Shane
known
Lee has
about,
those same ones.
yeah, yeah, if
Yes.
I would have known about them, I could have probably saved myself 2 years in building my theater, because first of all, I would not have built the walls out to hide bookshelf speakers. So I would have had a full 18-foot wide room, right? I would not have built 2 foot out on the front either. I would have just built enough to put those on walls, or in because you can use them
You
in
can still
several
put them
different
in wall.
solutions, right? You can put them in wall also,
Yeah,
correct?
they'll fit in a standard, standard
Yep.
framing. So
Yeah, so I mean, I probably would have won a totally different route. One thing that I want to showcase on here too is they actually have, um, let's see, look at those sound bars that they're custom
yeah.
making. I mean, those things, they got 3 tweeters in them. You got, I guess that's the LCR, all for a
Yep.
sound bar, and these guys will custom make anything that you want. So it's phenomenal what they're doing there. It really is. I'm a fanboy now. I really enjoyed these speakers. Um,
You were already a
I
fanboy before we got to Kansas City, man.
I
yeah.
know
I mean,
Brian, who's in that room,
I don't think
he
there was
was
anything in
running
that room that convinced you otherwise.
well,
Brian
I
who was running
go ahead.
the computer thing. He had his custom made, those outriggers on the feet. I mean, he imported them from somewhere. I mean, he did a nice job with his own. He lives here in Florida, actually,
Okay.
and he had, I think it's dual 24s maybe. He had them custom make, and
Oh wow.
uh and the weird thing is he's in a small room. I think his whole house is probably 1,100 square feet. So to have those type of speakers in there was, I think, is crazy. But he loves those speakers.
I try to
Yeah,
pull up their
they're
on-wall
good
solutions,
speakers.
man. I mean,
I think in a home theater environment, which is probably what they're designed for, yeah, they would sound really, really good.
yeah. I mean, they have a ton of solutions too, as you can see here. It's just, I mean, these are just the on-walls.
Oh, those
So
are all.
I think
those
you
are
might be
all on-wall.
looking at a different page than what we're looking at now.
Oh, there we go. Let
Yeah,
me share that tab.
There
Sorry.
you are.
Yeah, there's the on walls.
Yeah, so they're all just on walls. They have a
what
ton
are
of
the
different
price points
solutions.
for those things?
And they're all right there. So certain ones are only available through dealers,
Yeah,
but they do sell some direct. It looks like. Let's see here. They got in walls. I mean, they have a ton of stuff to choose from here. There's 3 pages of in walls.
I don't think so. I think the ones they brought would be the installer one, right? The
Yeah,
installer
yeah,
models, their signature reference,
So
661 or something.
they have built-in back boxes.
yeah.
So speaker, your sheetrock would actually just go around that center speaker. The speaker there in the center. The rest of that box is actually in the wall.
Yep.
All right. So let's go ahead and go to the next room. Let me see here. All right. So the Kincaid Theater, home theater. I don't know what that is. I don't recall what that is. I do have some stuff of
Wasn't the
the S.
Kincaid the one with a whole bunch of
That's,
different speakers in
yeah,
it?
the one that
It
had
Okay,
was.
so that
glitch
was the
with
speaker
everybody
comparison
else.
room. Okay.
Yeah, and it had the what was it? The Meridian was the showcased one in there.
Yep.
Yeah,
It
they
was.
had meridians. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that kind of confused me because I was calling it the speaker comparison room. So so that's why. All right. So let me go back here to my speaker comparison room. So this room was pretty cool. I do have I asked the person that set this up. I asked him about the way that they had the array of these, or the way that they had these speakers set up. So I sat. Let's see if I got some pictures of the audience here. I may not have taken pictures of the seating. No, I didn't. That's actually a different picture too. So that doesn't belong there. So I sat in the middle, front row on these. And if you notice, you got the Martin Logan on the outside and then the Martin Logan on the inside. And then you got the Focal and the Focal. You have the clips, the two clips separate, right? So with them setting it up like this, they kind of made a sweet spot for each individual speaker, right? So you can move around and you can hear when they were switching. So I asked him why they did that, and he said because if you got them too wide, they didn't think they would sound very good. But as you moved around, you could definitely find the sweet spot in this particular setup. I've just never seen anybody set them up like this and switch through them. And one thing that I learned in doing this is that he actually used the Storm processor, and he just used two channels for each one of those and switched them, which was a fantastic idea. So he was just using two different channels to switch through them, because you can, with the Storm processor, you can actually turn on certain channels, and it was great. It was great to see how easy he was doing it. He actually took time to show me how he was switching through them and everything else like that. So it was actually, he didn't have a switcher. He was just using the AVR. Did any of you guys get to sit down in here and listen to these speakers?
I did not.
Yep. I sat in there for a little while.
What you think,
Yeah, we were
Scotty?
in there for a while.
As far as listening to the speakers, I like that they were all there, and I like that you could flip through and hear the different speakers. But the hard thing with a setup like this is that it's not really a good indicator of what they're going to sound like when you get them. And part of the reason being is that when you get a speaker, there's usually a recommendation to be so far off of a wall, this kind of setting, this kind of angles. When they're out in the middle like that, you're kind of just getting the flatness, right? You don't have any of that bass reinforcement you would get if they were closer or nearer to a wall or closer to what the manufacturer wants you to hear them at. But I did like the room. I did like looking at the products, looking at the speakers. You get, that up close and personal with them. You don't get to experience that very often anymore. There's hardly any showrooms left in the country, right? So having that
Right.
opportunity was incredible, and it was nice to be able to hear the meridians that you actually have up on the screen now as well.
Yeah,
Those
I didn't
really
get
were
to
the
hear the
star of the show
meridians.
in that room.
Yeah, I heard them twice, and I think the first time I heard them, they were still working on some of the tweaks or recalibrating. I'm not really sure what they were doing, but the first time I heard them, they were very shouty. But the second time, that was all calmed down, and it was very, very similar type music that was coming out of it. So I think they were just playing around with them at the first round I had with them.
Brett, did you get the chance to go into this room?
I did not. So yeah, no big opinions. Although I've heard most of those speakers, and the Meridians are great. But it was also interesting, like you said. I ended up picking up a Storm processor that was there.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Because like I said, it's nuts to be able, and one of the things I'd been chatting with them for a while, and as I'm getting ready to build out my theater, getting a chance to chat with Gary and Matt kind of locked it in for me, where it really doesn't care. So whether you buy a 16 channel or a 32 channel, however many are in there, you can do whatever you want with those channels. And so like you said, you could have multiple 2-channel systems. You can actually have multiple Atmos systems. One of the things I'm doing in mine, and kind of the reason that locked me in on the Storm, was the fact that if you use it in a mixed audio format, you can actually have, so like my theater will be an Atmos. I got to figure out exactly how many, but let's call it a 9.4.6 or 9.4.4. And then right next to it, I'll have a gaming room, and the two won't run at the same time. So as long as you put speakers in there, amplifiers in there, and the same processor runs on both of them. And so I
Yeah.
think that's kind of a nuts way to be able to, have one really good processor, and it's actually going to be processing 3 rooms in my house. So,
I have one
you know,
quick question for you. How
yeah,
are
go
you
for it.
still sitting up in your chair and not falling over? Because I probably wouldn't have been sleeping for days on end while I was playing with that storm.
I haven't gotten it yet. It's coming, and
Okay, okay.
that's exactly why. so so it left. It was literally at the show on Monday. So
Oh, gotcha.
so hopefully it is on its way. But I asked, it was supposed to go out on Monday, and so yeah, so I got a Mark III coming, and I guarantee you, just like you said, as soon as that comes in on hopefully tomorrow before the weekend, right? It will definitely be getting put through its paces. So, yeah, no, I think it's a great way to be able to do it. Obviously, it's more beneficial as you get into big, systems like this where you're trying to show multiple systems.
Hmm.
But for a lot of us that have maybe a dedicated room, but also a family room, it's kind of a cool way to be able to set up both. And that was really kind of something that when I saw it, I said, "Oh, I don't have to buy 2 or 3 good processors. One processor can kind of do it, and I can play with it and see exactly how well that works." So,
Yeah, no, I definitely remember hearing about that feature to where you can actually set up like two or like you said, 2 or 3 different rooms,
yep.
and it will handle, it will handle them all, like you said, but not simultaneously. But you can
No, but
you can pick.
so what it can do, because I had to get clarified on this when before I was able to say yes on it and pull the trigger on something that big for me, was it. So obviously it can only run an Atmos, so like a big multi-channel system, it can run one at a time, right? So the idea is you could run this room or this room. But what you're able to do is you could run a multi-room system or a multi-channel system in one room, and the other one will still actually run 2 channel, which like in my family room is all I need half the time. If I'm not in there, my wife really couldn't care less about, she'd be happy with just 2 channels. And so that's how we're going to end up running it, is if I'm in my theater and she's in the family room, it can actually process both of those. It just can't do 2 multi-channel systems at the same time.
Yeah, that was Brett asking all those questions to the storm dealer.
There we go. Exactly. Hey man, I gotta know what I'm buying the same as everybody else, right? That's a big deal commitment. So
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
guys from Storm they're super intelligent guys,
Yeah.
right?
oh yeah.
Incredible, incredibly smart, just
Yep.
all over the map with
Yep.
different technologies and
Yeah.
understanding, and it's always fun
Oh
to talk to them.
yeah, no
So
doubt.
Todd, did you get a chance to go into that room?
Just briefly on it, because
Nice.
Tony was like, when sitting just comparing speakers and stuff, he's like, okay, that's the same shit. Let's go. So it was kind of limit on the stuff. So you kind of take with what you can get, and then you move on. So it was all good though.
I hear you. I hear you. All right, so let's move on over to the next room, which was the Nebraska Furniture Mart room, featuring SVS. Let's see if I can get that room pulled up here. I didn't have a ton of pictures for this room. I have more video than pictures. So let's see here.
Have any of y'all been into the Nebraska Furniture Mart in Kansas City?
No.
If you
I have
haven't,
not.
next time you need to. That store is probably 200,000 square foot store or more. In every department has a massive section. Whether they have TVs, arcade, gaming, uh, just couches, just chairs, appliances. It's a it's an overwhelming store to go in there. It's over by the Speedway. If you guys go next year, you guys got to go to that because
Yeah, we'll definitely have
it's
to
just
make a
like
trip out there.
it's an amazing. It's basically it's a whole house store inside and outside, but it's not just one or two things. It's a from the very low end to the very high end because it's like they have Viking and even in their appliances they even have the Viking and the Sub Zeros and it's multiple of everything beds couches but it's a store to go into if you want to really go into and see what a superstore is. That Nebraska Furniture Mart is a amazing store just to go through and see.
So, Ike,
Plus,
did
they
you get a
also have
chance to get in this? I think you were trying to get in here and do a video, correct?
Yes, yes, I did not get to do the video, but the room is good. Was a good room. I say, welcome to the big leagues. Yes, those speakers were very impressive. Very, very impressive. I don't think anyone who buys them, just from what we heard, will probably, obviously, we've not seen a lot of measurements, but who cares? They sound good, man.
Yeah, they do
Those things
sound
sound,
phenomenal.
they sound really, really good. Classic SVS fashion.
But that
And
picture right there, I mean, just look at that speaker, man. I mean, they look.
A lot of bang for the buck
you're
with
not sharing that
SDS.
screen, are
Yeah,
you? You're sharing
I
the wrong
agree, Mitch.
screen.
I did get to hear this room.
Nice.
And so like I said, they happened to be they had a little opening right there. Got to hear a little 2-channel in there. So they were playing some 2-channel in the beginning, and then we went into some movie titles. And yeah, I mean it sounds great. I mean it's a solid fan favorite brand. Like Mitch said, it's a great bang for your buck. Obviously their distribution model has changed a little bit. You can find them in more stores now versus just going direct. Um, but this latest upgrade, especially what I think they have 3 versions of it.
Yes.
It's a great looking tower. Obviously a little reminiscent of some Watt puppies and things like that on from that perspective, but it's a great design for again a great value. And I think it's a different looking speaker that people can kind of get behind from a design perspective. Versus your classic rectangular box. So
Yeah, and just for those of you that are tuning in tonight, we had 2 shows ago we actually had SVS live on
okay.
the show. So just go back through our live chat, go to either my channel or Ike's channel, and click on the live tab on YouTube, and you'll see that we had SVS on, and you can get a lot of good information. Nick, we were grilling Nick on there, and he was easily able to answer all the questions that we had. Look, I've heard these speakers 2 different times now. I heard them at the Florida Audio Expo, and now again I've heard them at MWAVE. And I mean, I'm just going to reiterate what Brett said, and Mitch. Just a great. And I hate to even use bang for your buck because they're just a great speaker, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're reasonably priced for the amount of uh, output and production that you get out of these speakers. I mean, it's just they're doing just a great job, and I like the fact in this room that you don't have trusses, right?
Yeah.
So they got the height speakers up here, right? Blocking anything or anything like that. So I like the approach that they took on this room, and they're actually using the height speakers rather than putting them in the Atmos section. What about you, Scotty? Did you get a chance to see this one?
I did. I spent a lot of time and actually asked quite a few questions because the towers, actually have the dual opposing subs in it, right? So before we seen that in the SVS Micro, where you have the two woofers and they're moving like this, right? But they're in the same chamber, and that cancels out a lot of those vibrations and resonance. And we know that the little SVS Micro, for the size of it, really hits hard for that small of a box. So when I got into looking at the speaker, I'm like, he's like, yeah, these are dual opposing drivers for the woofers in the speaker. I was like, no way. So that explains why it's front and back, right? And also it keeps the vibrations dampened within that
Yeah, there's
enclosure.
that picture of the dual opposing
So
right there.
they hit pretty hard for a tower. You know, I did a lot of listening without the subwoofer on, and I was quite impressed by how they sounded overall. And they look great. I like the way that they look. So.
It's just a sexy speaker, man. I mean, the white to me, man, I'm in love with the white ones. So they are phenomenal speakers.
Yeah, I'd be curious in, you know, when you put it in your you know, space, how those dual opposing subs work, you know, because one's on the backside. So how close can you put it to the wall and all those kinds of things? So
Yeah, so
you know, I
we
wonder
asked
if,
that
Yeah,
question,
I agree with
Brett,
that.
in our show a
yeah,
couple shows back, and I believe he said you can get really close because of the angle of the speaker,
Yeah.
so
yeah,
you can
yeah,
tuck them
because the
in
back
like
angles
He
as
actually
well,
said
right?
at the
So
show, he said the diameter of the woofer is the same distance. So like an 8-inch woofer, you can go within 8 inches of the wall. 6 inch, you can go
Yep.
6 inches. So he said that's how that will be your starting point. If you want to
got
pull it out, you can, but he recommends 8 inches if it's an 8-inch woofer, and
sure.
so on.
So at least at a minimum, getting that much. So
Right.
yeah, and then it
Yep.
just depends on how much boundary reinforcement you want in that base. So yeah, no, like I said, I've been impressed with it. I was impressed with the you know, the look, the design, and the sound of the speakers, and just like Scotty was saying, it's you know, I was able to listen to it without the sub in 2 channel, you know, which is nice because most of the rooms obviously were playing big theater sound, and then as soon as it converted over, and then you added the subs in there, you know, it sounded great in both 2 channel and multi channel.
It did, it did. And I'm wondering, have you guys ever seen a dual opposing woofer setup in any other tower? I asked the SVS guy, and he's like, I don't think anyone else is doing it. And I'm like,
it.
here,
It
ask
wasn't
me
Def Tech.
someone else.
Wasn't
Def Tech?
well. I know Def Tech has speakers rear firing, but I don't think that they're dual opposing exactly.
Yeah,
But they do have.
I don't know that they're
They
dual
might be
opposing.
passive radiators in DefTex.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
of them anyway.
Todd or Chuck, did you guys get to listen? I know obviously Chuck, you did because you talked about the 8 inches. Todd, anything from this
We
one?
didn't make it in there.
And then
I
we
was
just
more impressed with the 2 channel than the home theater, believe it or not. And I don't know if it's because he had it cranked up or I'm not sure why, but it seemed like it had a lot more bass when he was playing 2 channel than when he was doing the movie demos. It's like he turned it down or something. I don't know.
hmm, I didn't get that. I don't during my demo.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul, what's going on, sir? Thanks for joining us from the campfire.
We
Yeah,
just got
man.
more and more people rolling in.
I would have joined earlier, but my alarm apparently does not account for mountain time versus central time. So I was like, oh, well, I
I think
guess
we're a
I'm
few
already
too many
awake.
beers
So
in, Paul.
That's
yeah,
right. That's right.
exactly.
It
Hey,
was the alarm that didn't know the difference.
Yeah.
that
So, or was it that
freshwater mountain.
Colorado legal weed that you? No.
Man, I'm telling you, you don't need any of that whenever you're around here, man. It's
There you
literally
go.
you're a mile high, and man, we've been hitting up
Literally.
Horsetooth Reservoir. Yeah, hiked up to Seaman Reservoir. Not your kind of seaman there, Don. I know where
Hey,
you're
you're the
going
only
with
one
there.
doing broke back over
Ah,
there, not
there you
me,
go.
buddy.
That
This
Oh
just
man.
this just went
And,
up north.
Oh
and,
yeah.
we packed like 50 pounds roughly of stuff 1.2 miles, and we got there and it was like, man, this is too sketch to get in. We're talking like ankle breaker, like, and I think there was another spot that we would have had to hike another, I think mile and a half. And it's like, man, we're not used to hiking mountains. Like this is literally like this is like a level 3 little. We got to the end. It was like it went from a level 1 hike, which is basically a paved road, to like, oh yeah, now you're in level 3. We were talking 45-degree angles with rocks the whole way up. We're like, oh, okay, man, maybe we leave the paddleboards here and just hike up to the top and take some pictures. So it was fun,
We
and
appreciate you. We
we seen
appreciate
a
you joining the
concert.
show.
No, I wanted to hear what everybody thought, and the only other thing that we did was amazing. We went to Mishawah, which is if people are not familiar with it, it's basically a venue that's in the middle of the mountains, and I kid you not, in the middle of the mountains. There is no cell service, there is no parking, and it is a live concert venue, and it's amazing. Like,
That
if
sounds
there's
cool.
ever a band that you want to see that's at the Mishawah, it's amazing. It was a blast. So,
Any of your
anyways,
thoughts on the SVS room that you, Nebraska Furniture Mart? Did you partake into this demo?
I did not do the 2 channel. I did the theater, and it sounded the same to me. I mean, it sounded roughly the same. There wasn't a whole lot of difference. I mean, I was impressed with the SVS room last year, so take for whatever I said that last year the same. It's like, yeah, just as impressive. Oh, but that's all I had from there. And I do think I think they turned down the bass for the theater presentation. I really do think they did that because it wasn't near as bassy as it. They were popping, and that might be because they were popping circuit breakers like every demo last year. So
Yeah.
that might be why they did that. So
And they knew the competitors were this year. So yeah, sometimes it's better to keep your demos running than to try to impress and get stuck in a demo.
yeah, and a lot of them were still doing that, but with more surface area than wattage, and it's easier to do if you're willing to fork in 22 subwoofers.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next room. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think this room stole the show for me. I was kind of hoping that it turned out the way that it did. And this was the Martin Logan room. And they had electrostats literally surrounding you everywhere. And unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of pictures for this. I got video, but not a lot of pictures for this particular room. But I
This room
mean,
was a lot of fun.
it definitely was a lot of fun. And I like the fact that they actually focused on spatial audio. It was something different. Everybody was showing all the same clips. Some of them had minus Godzilla -1. Some of them had, but for the most part, you got Unbroken, Ready Player One. You got all the same demos. And I really like the fact that they went at this at a different angle. And it really did steal the show from me because I'm not a big 2 channel listening music guy. I don't sit down and listen to a whole lot of music and everything else. But I mean, this was really, really good. I got to sit in the prime seat a couple times, and man, I was just blown away by the sound of these electrostats, and not that I've not heard them before, but just so light and airy, and just the Atmos. I believe they were using Apple Music for
Apple
this.
Music on an Apple TV. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, Mitch, what did you think about this?
We spent quite a bit of time in that room. It was fantastic. You got to sit down and listen to music. A lot of people haven't heard Dolby Atmos music before. If you haven't, you need to go check it out. It is different than typical 2 channel. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were sitting in there just playing different tunes, and yeah, it was quite enjoyable.
Yeah, they were letting you request whatever you wanted to hear too. So I mean, it was nice. Um, Paul or Ike, did you guys get a chance to partake in this one?
Yeah, I listened to this one as well, and yeah, it was really. I mean, if you're into music, and that's yeah, it was an amazing presentation, and like you said, it was different. They weren't trying to do something that they're not, and yeah, the spatial audio music, and I was like, man, yeah, and you learn different, songs, and they were willing to play people's. To me, that speaks volumes. They were concentrating on spatial volume, but they my buddy just did something at the campfire. Anyway, they were willing
Put it
to, as
away.
long as it was a spatial. Yeah, exactly. I was, they saw that, bro. Yeah, I was like, "What are you doing?" Uh, so they were willing to take, people's, hey, I want to listen to this, as long as it was a spatial audio mix on the. I forget. I think they were using wasn't it Apple TV?
Yeah,
Apple.
Apple TV,
It
Apple
was
Apple
Music.
Apple
TV.
Yeah.
Music on Apple
If it was
TV.
on
Yeah.
there and it was a spatial audio mix, they were willing to play it. And to me, at any show, no matter what, if they're willing to do that, that speaks volumes to me, because it's like, hey, we ain't scared. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like, because
Steven
any
Wilson's albums, they sound phenomenal.
yeah. So, and that's the, and the I forget the guy. I'm so horrible with names. The guy is like, the Martin Logan person that was there. He's a really cool dude too. So, uh, he's laid back
Yeah,
and
no, yeah,
fun to
definitely.
be around.
And
So,
I tell you what, their subwoofers impressed me. I think they had
They
like
did.
6 subwoofers in this room, and their subwoofers really, really impressed me. The 6 that they had in the room, they definitely filled the room. Brett, were you able to get into this one?
So I didn't. I've heard Martin Logan's multiple times, so it's a phenomenal brand in there. I haven't heard it for spatial audio, but I have heard them in a multi-channel configuration before. Um, but generally speaking, to echo what Paul said in there, any vendor it's difficult. Even retailers, they want to play a demo that they want to play you, right? That they know sounds right in the room, that they know this and that. So anytime you can get somebody to let you make choices, that's what you want. I want to be able to hear my own content, or content that I know well. And it was interesting, Don, that you brought that up as well, that they were doing something different. I was chatting with a few manufacturers on this, and I'm curious because coming from the manufacturer side, we get tired of listening to the same demo 100 times in a
yeah,
week,
that's for
right?
sure. And,
And so,
and
but go ahead. So I was going to
oh,
say is that, but it's difficult because sometimes if I'm a consumer and I want to hear it, I do want to hear them on the same content, because hey, if I can hear Ready Player One on 5 different systems and I can kind of compare them a little bit more apples to apples.
Yeah,
yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm
that's
I'm
true.
curious in everybody's thoughts in that. Do you go
I'm gonna
for,
double.
obviously we all get kind of tired of watching Ready Player One every time, and all the same content, but is it a better thing in a show like this where it's consumers and the content, you're listening to something different, comparing it to your own home system? Is that the better thing to do versus playing random clips? I think both have their
Yeah,
positives, but I'm curious what everybody thinks in that, because we're always looking at that for like CDs.
y-
You
yeah,
go.
Can we just have
Go.
like
exactly.
a 5 year run on a certain artist? Because, I'm kind of tired of hearing Eric Clapton, even though I love him.
Yeah, yeah. I
That was
mean,
one of the
Just
ones
and
that
Dan,
came
after
up for us
5 years,
too.
that you're not
yeah,
allowed
yeah,
at
and
any audio shows
I'm
for at
gonna
least
double
another 15.
down. Yeah, I'm gonna double down on this whole scenario, because every time, and I mean, maybe this is an announcement to the manufacturers. It's like every time you go somewhere, if it doesn't compare good to like another system, or someone else says, "Oh, this other room sounded better," oh, this other, they're like, "Oh, well, this room wasn't treated," or this or that. It's like, dude, then get off your effing ass and send people that know what they're doing to set up your system. This is your time to shine. Stop making excuses. And they do that in two channel. You got $100,000 speakers, and they always leave the, well, we did the best we could with the amount of time we have. And it's like, how many years have you been selling this speaker? You know exactly how this speaker sounds. And by this time, you should know exactly how it sounds in every room. And you should know exactly how to tweak it and EQ it to make it sound the
Oh,
best. Stop making excuses for, oh, this other one sound better. It's just a cop out. And I don't like that.
every room is different, though. I mean, so
It is.
for them
It
to
is.
know
Except
exactly
in
what
this
treatments they need to bring
scenario.
and everything else like that, I do have to side with the manufacturer just a little bit on that. But I get your point 100%.
Well, yeah,
For
you're
them
a
to
seller, so of course. But
Grimani
I
well,
was
think,
able to do that.
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
and I
I
agree, and
mean,
I was going to bring that up too, Mitch. But Grimani also didn't have a demo ready to play on Friday night,
Right.
Yeah,
and so
it took a
and they
while
were still tweaking through Saturday and
through
Sunday, right? And
Saturday.
and obviously, big fan of the product, and we kind of get into that. I'm trying to hang on for that room in there. Um, they did, they went the extra
yeah,
mile and they put in the acoustic panels and they did all this stuff that most of the other rooms didn't do. But having been there at CEDIA last year in Sound Room 10, with Grimani and with Storm and with Barco and Row One, uh, I was in that room till 3 a.m. the morning before the show started, and then back at 8 a.m. Getting that room ready. And I hung every speaker and pretty much every acoustic panel in that room. It's a lot of extra work. And I think, again, not to let him off the hook, Paul, but the only thing is, it's like, yeah, when you've got these rooms for 2 or 3 days, where do you focus your time? And
well,
and so it's
yeah,
that
but
back
I
and forth
mean,
of
how do you not know what your room sounds like? All these rooms are relatively the same size, if not exactly the same size. I mean, there were a few that were different, but and they weren't like marble walls. These are 100% carpeted walls. That's just how these convention centers work, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear yourself talk. So it's not like they're no, it's not like it's a glass room that everybody's thinking of. It's
oh,
not even
agreed.
drywall.
No,
This
the
is
rooms are designed to
compared
not have
to
that much heat on.
hotels. These are pretty, you know, pretty sound treated. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, but
so
anyways, yeah.
anybody
Go
else
ahead.
have anything else on this? Brett. I apologize. I didn't realize the time. So
No, no,
we'll
no,
go
no, no,
ahead.
no, no. I already sent an email out saying I was going to be a little bit late. So, like I said,
Oh,
I'm hanging on. The conversation is great.
cool.
And like I said, trying to get at least through all of them, and Grimani's room and whatever else. So.
Well, let's go
The
ahead.
only, the
We'll
only
we'll
correction
shift
I would
to.
say is there was actually 4 subwoofers in that room, which were dual 12s, not 6.
Okay, there was only four. There was four. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, those subwoofers. I mean, they're not to be slept on. Let's just put it that way. They sounded really good. All right,
Yeah.
so we'll go ahead and since we'll go ahead and go to Germani's room now. I was gonna because I don't know how long you have, Brett, but we'll go ahead and go to that. So let me share this tab here. So Germani's room was room 2214. It featured the Christie projector in it, the 4K projector. There was a 220-inch screen in there, I believe.
Yeah.
And I don't have a lot of, as a matter of fact, I don't have any pictures of this room except for one that I pulled off. So what I'm going to do here is share this real quick. So this well, that didn't show up very good. So let me go here. Share this. All right. So there we go. So this is the video that I actually did on the Germani room. So I'm just going to pan through this video, um, like fast forwarding through it, so you guys can see exactly what it looks like. So, I mean, as Paul mentioned, Germani did have, you know, the treatments, and during his presentation, during his seminar, he actually talked about the amount of planning that he put into this room. I think they were planning this room 3 to 6 months out. Brett, am I correct with that?
Yeah, at least 3+ months. They kind of came into it a little bit late versus some people that came into MWAVE. But as they went in with Absolute Ultimate AV and the rest, they were definitely planning this thing out for for a lot of hours and a lot of work.
Yeah. So, I mean, uh, he brought his on wall solutions here. You know, just I mean, the first night I went to it, well, the first day I went to it was Saturday. I think they, as you mentioned, Brett, they did have a little bit of hiccup on getting it going, right? Just because they wanted everything perfect, right? They didn't want to open it up with it not being perfect. I thought the first night that the room was a little hot. You know, it seemed, as a matter of fact, I actually asked the question, and you'll hear me ask the question in this video. Were they running at reference? And the response was yes. But I did think it was a little hot. It was loud. Um, and I'll say in my video, I thought that this, and I'll say it again, I thought that this was the most immersive room out of all of them. That with the sheer size of the screen, the projector, the sound, everything to me just for me made it the most immersive room that I've been in. To be honest with you, it was just it was really well done. It was it just sounded really good to me. Anybody else get a chance to go into this room?
Yeah, I
I,
thought
I,
it's
Yeah.
I went in
Yeah,
on
once.
Saturday. It was a very cool experience, like you said, with the room treatments, incredible screen. It was a little bit more bright sound for my taste on that, but it still was an amazing room. And like I said, it was pretty cool because with his little director's chairs, they had the short, the medium, and the tall. So you actually had kind of a simulated uh, elevated seats on that. So everybody had a great line of sight for the pictures. But I wish it would have been a little bit more of the actually showing the and listening to the system than the presentation. But I understand all the work that went into it, though. But
How
it
about
was
you,
it
Ike?
was a
It was probably one of my favorite rooms in the entire show. I agree with Todd that it felt a little bit hot, at least the first two times I went in there, because I went in there plenty of times. But it felt a little bit hot, But I think that just has to do with the chaos of dialing it in and setting up and all of that. But in terms of, I know like the JTR, right? The bass lovers definitely would love the JTR, but I think generally just movie lovers and clear dialogues and just audio panning across the room and things like that. You know, that's what you want your home theater to sound like. Except if you're Scott Newby, or the average guy that lives in Kansas City, that just wants, the bass heads, So it was one of my favorite rooms. At least I experienced a demo probably about 4 times, which was probably lesser than most people did. So yeah, but
I wonder why I couldn't get a seat in there half the time.
Yeah, there were
yeah,
always lines to that
but
room.
I think yeah, I don't know, man. I don't. It took a lot of time to set that room up, man.
Yeah,
Jeez.
and you see in that video that I did that they actually talk about putting the drapes over the top too, right? So
Hmm.
they wanted this room to be totally blacked out, so you get the. That's why I said I think it was a combination of everything to make it the
Yeah.
most immersive room at the show for me. Brett, what do you think about this room?
Yeah, I mean, I I got fortunate because I got to see it after the show closed on Sunday. Was my first time to get a chance. I walked in before, when a few of the booths were setting up, including this one. But I literally went in afterwards because I was trying to wrap up with a few people. And Anthony was nice enough to swing by and grab me and say, "Hey, did you want to take a look?" It was two speakers more than we actually did in the booth at Cedia, which says something for for a consumer show, for something that for everybody pulled out all the stops in all the rooms, but like you said, not everybody was draping over. I know that's Trevor in the picture over there. Like
Hmm.
because I was literally pulling the rolls of fabric over. This isn't like it just shows up and it's already there. This is literally 2 3 guys. Ross from um, from Christie and the guys and some of the volunteers as well, putting it all together. And so I think as you look at the kind of fan participation side of it, I think they pulled out all the stops. I think they did everything you could possibly do in a temporary room to put it together. It sounded good. Um, I agree. I thought it was a little bit bright, but what was interesting is going there right at the end, when there was no next demo and no nothing else, and playing Ready Player One, which I had already heard 10 times during the show,
Hmm.
and 1,000 times before that. You could like even the coins, you know, were they bright, but they stood out, and it stood out
Yeah.
more than every other where I heard those same coins picked up, 50 times, where you could hear them and they sounded like metal coins.
Right.
And I think that was one of the things where, Anthony was saying, and I know depending on when everybody got in there, sounds like I got in there during all the times. But he was tweaking it, I know, through Saturday and even into Sunday.
Yeah.
Uh, Through demo by demo, one of the cool things with the Dante system and the networked audio system is he literally just sits there in the row with his laptop and he can change the DSP, on any of those speakers live, and so I think that's what's really cool in a room like that is being able to pull all that stuff together. And then, again, acoustic panels and the rest. I talked about it in my class in the media room, but not enough people think about acoustics. Everybody wants a bigger screen. They had a 220 there. Everybody wants more speakers. They had 19 speakers there, including subs. But I think acoustics play a big part in it as well as room design. And I think the room sounded phenomenal, and I think that's one of those things that kind of shows if you put in the extra effort for acoustics, for room design, black out the room, all those things in there, you're just going to make it stand out more and more.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I was checking this out. Let me see if I can go full screen and see what it looks like here. Okay, let me do this. When you look at the side pan over here, let me go back one the first of the video. There's not a ton of acoustic panels in this room. I mean, it's not like you see some of the theater tours and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like superly treated. There's definitely panels in there, right? But there's not a ton of panels everywhere. Like I was thinking that it was going to be a treated a lot more than what it actually is. You got a couple diffusers there in the front. You got an absorption panel, a couple more different kind of diffusers, right? So it's not, you know, and this was a tall room too, right? So I
Yeah.
think that scaffolding was like 14 feet, and these diffusers were just in the right spots, just in the right, in the right areas to get that sound to produce. Paul, what you think about this room? I know you got in there a couple times, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with everyone else. It's kind of tough for me to. The Spider-Man Mysterio demo sounded amazing. Okay, so if I just did that, then I would have been like, yeah, it's a reference room. But man, whenever Unbroken was playing, man, my ears were bleeding. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was like covering my ears, like both times. I was like, and I sat. Now the first time I unfairly sat on the floor in the front of the front row, which is pretty close. And sound decreases as you move
Hmm.
back. But so it's unfair for me to say much more than that was way louder than anything else played. And I know the idea is, oh, it does not fatiguing, blah blah blah, or whatever if it's perfect. But it's like it was fatiguing immediately for me. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm not a reference or whatever listener by any stretch of the imagination. And that those things were, I could hear all of it, but man, it was causing physical pain to my ears.
So
So
you know what do you normally when you're watching a movie at your house? What do you normally listen at?
well, it I on my pre-pro I listen at -15, and
Okay.
I can crank it up. Like I did that for one of my buddies. I probably should have done it for you, but I unlocked it, turned my bass down to like -4, and then I played it at reference volume. And he was like, "Oh man, this is like being at a concert," and it did. It sounded like all the rooms at MWAVE, right? And I've got a fairly cheap system, but I never listen that loud. I listen at
Right.
-15, and I usually crank up the bass a little bit more, just because the way your ears hear bass is not the same volume as everything else. So to really get that impact, you have to kind of tweak the bass
Yeah,
to
and
your
the
liking.
presenter, you'll hear in my video that I did because I basically just recorded the demo without the demos, right? Because I didn't want to get the
Yeah,
copyright strike.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you'll hear him. He even mentions in the in the video that, hey, you may not like it at this volume, but you can easily turn it down. Not say when you get it, this system in your home, you can listen to it at your preferable. And he even said in the video that it's a little hot for him. So
yeah. And that's kind of unfair, and that's the tough part about that room. It's kind of like in audio, Grimani is like this superstar. So dude, he could have put a Bose system in there, and everybody probably would have been like, "Oh, this is the
that's not
best
true.
sounding system
That is
ever."
not true.
So you'd be surprised, but
You got to. I
there
mean,
was
you got to
so
make the
to
room
my
perform,
point,
which I think he
there was
definitely did.
so many people there in line. Like that was literally the only room that had a
with a
line
line.
until they started tearing down that room. I mean,
Yeah.
literally
No, I mean,
so that there is.
look,
It's
he's
unfortunate that
either
we
a
couldn't
mad
but
scientist
listen.
or he he
Oh
created the
yeah,
buzz, and then he created the buzz even more because it wasn't ready right at the beginning of the show, right?
yeah,
That's
So
right.
How
but
yeah,
it
many demo
also,
yeah.
clips did you
Oh,
guys get in that
welcome
room?
to Apple's technology of, oh, let's break the first
no,
phone
but
so everybody will
it
watch
boils
our press
down.
release twice.
It boils down to the fact that it's one of those speakers that the average person doesn't, even the average, home theater head doesn't get to listen to, right? How
right,
many people do you know own those speakers,
right,
right?
and
So,
they're fully active speakers too.
yeah, so
So I
I'm sure
mean,
a lot of people would want to see that because you might not get to see it
Yeah,
again except
the
you go to
room
Amway.
is an amazing. It was an amazing. It really was, and that's a great point. Like it's like where else you have to appreciate Anthony Grimani for coming to such a small, relatively micro show and
Yeah.
letting people experience. And yeah, the one thing was an excellent experience. It's just since there's so much fandom going on, it's like, oh man, it's tough to like go in there and turn it down like 10 dB, and then
are you eating Velveeta
and then
cheese?
everyone. Well, yeah, I'm on a campfire, bro. What else? What do you eat at the campfire?
You got to throw it at someone.
Yeah,
That's the trend.
he's probably eating ribeye steaks on his campfire. He's he can
No,
afford that. He's gonna buy a Grimani room next week, I think, from what I heard.
no,
That
definitely
was
not
his
going to do that.
favorite.
Mitch, what did you think about it? What did you think about that room?
I thought it was an amazing room. I only got to go in it once, and I felt like the demo was a little quick. We only got 2 demo clips in
Mm,
there, but one of my favorite rooms. Great spatial sound. Everything was panning well. The Spider-Man demo was awesome.
Yeah, Chuck, how about you? How many times did you get to do
I
the
just
demo?
got in there once, and I agree with the other gentleman under me that I wish it was a little more demo and a little less presentation because, like I said, I only got in there once,
Yeah,
so that was the only thing I would criticize. The room was great, but I wish I could have saw a little more demos as well.
yeah,
I feel
yeah.
like
I
I
mean,
waited in line for that room longer than I was in it.
well, I mean,
Like
so
Disneyland,
Michael said there was about 450
490, something like that.
490 490 people that attended, right? So, and yes, they weren't all there, but I know on Friday night I think everybody but like 120 people checked in. um and they only had 14 seats in there. I think it was because they were you can hear in my video they were counting the 14. So they
Yeah.
only had 14 seats in there. They wanted to make sure everybody got a good experience. And one of the things that they talked about is that every seat in there was a good experience. I sat in 3 different seats, and I did get practically the same experience in all 3 different seats. So,
Yeah.
it was definitely set up well. Todd, what did you think about that room, sir?
No, I enjoyed it. It was like you said. It was cool though because, like you said, with the seats, low, medium, and high with their director seats, so it was set up. Like I said, it was would have liked to have been able to listen to a little bit more, but it was a best treated room. It was dark. The screen was just amazing
Yeah,
with
that
that.
that that projector, man, Jesus.
I hope he
Scott, what did
comes
you think,
back
sir?
next year.
I like the room. It was awesome to see the amount of effort that was taken to set up that room and to bring all the paneling and how they designed, brought it all together, and then also to hear the speakers. I mean, I've seen them, I've watched videos on them, but I've never been able to experience them. The room sounded clean, everything panned well. I was there late on Sunday, and I didn't really feel like it was as hot as some of you guys had mentioned. So maybe that was more of a
But
Saturday
I went
experience.
in it early Saturday, so he was probably still tweaking.
Yeah, and then at the end of the show, I actually helped tear down. So it was nice to get a close up look at all the speakers and the gear that was running it.
Yeah, they actually built like a separate hush box for that
Hmm.
projector too. So
Yeah.
it was pretty cool seeing that they took the time to
Regardless,
even do
Anthony.
that.
Yeah, Anthony Grimani is a great guy. He was fun to hang out with, and
Oh
it
yeah,
you
that's
know
right. You
he
got
is a
to
wealth of
hang out with
knowledge.
them a little bit, right?
Yeah, I mean just very little, but yeah, he's a cool guy. He wants an invite to the after show if he comes again.
Heck yeah, yeah. So those of you that don't know, Paul put together this phenomenal beer crawl, and we posted it on our home theater Facebook chat, home theater hub Facebook chat, and we had some people going around with us doing like the beer crawl all through Kansas City. I will say that we went to one bar and it was straight uphill, and then we went back and it was still straight uphill. So I don't know what the heck's going on in Kansas City, but the hills are just crazy there. But yeah, no. Thanks for putting all that together, Paul. I mean, you were just a fantastic host. I mean, I
Oh,
appreciate everything that you did.
I'm just glad everybody had a good time, and man, where was Chuck? I think I was the one that got the most expensive bill this time. I was like, man, that was supposed to be Chuck, man,
No,
because I
I'm
think
still going to sell you some money. I
no,
know you said
no,
you were going to handle it, but I'm going to sell you some
no,
money for that.
it's just a joke because that's just how we roll. But yeah, last year Chuck was like, "Oh, I'll get this one," and I was like, "Wait," and he goes, "No, no, no, I got it," and I
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh man,
Well, well, the
there's
first day,
like
you
eight
and I
people here
and
and they're ten
I think the
dollars a
guy that
beer, and everybody ordered 2 beers," and he was like, "Oh,"
well,
I was like, "Well,
we
maybe."
went to what the first day I got there, we went to Jack Stacks and we ordered what did we
Hmm.
order?
Yeah,
The prime
Crown
pr-
prime ribs.
crown
I think
prime
Yep.
rib.
I got the
Yeah.
yard house.
Uh,
I think I got the yard house bill with all the dinners
yep.
attached do it.
Yep. Yep, you did. You
Yeah, I
got
think
that.
that's
I
the one
mean,
you took. Yep.
everybody was ordering bougie beer, as bougie as it gets. It's like, it was good though. So we had a good time. Last year and this year was even better. We had we missed, I think, two on the list, but me and Rich hit up two separate ones. So,
Yeah, I had a good
uh,
time.
yeah,
It was
it
a
was
No, it
fun, and
was
that's what it's
good
fantastic.
that's what
call.
So
it's all about.
if
So,
you guys are going to go to MWAVE next year, reach out. We have the Home Theater Hub chat. Reach out and we'll get another crawl going. So
I'm
Yeah, we
down
all
could
for it.
right.
We'll be
You
there
need
next
a
year.
rematch for who's the
go
best
bust in the
actor over again.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, one of the beer
So let's
breaks.
move on to the
Actually,
next room.
not me. I was horrible at the axe throwing. I'll have to practice.
So the next room up is the JVC room, which they featured the new N900, and I got to tell you, I didn't think that the last one could. I didn't think that the NZ900 could get much better, but I went into this room. I mean, and this projector was bright, and from going from I went to the Ascender room with the Christie. I went to the Gramani room with the Christie. I'm telling you what, this thing is this thing right here is giving those Christies every dollar that it's got. It was really, really, really nice. They were featuring some 8K content. You know, it was they had a nice little Def Tech setup in there that was they were showing different clips and sounds and stuff like that, just like everybody else was. But man, I was impressed with this. Did anybody else get to go into the JVC room?
Yeah,
yeah, I
that
went
was
in
an
there and I was
amazing demo.
actually very impressed as well. I have the NZ8 that I bought last year at MWave, but and I was thinking there's not going to be a big difference, even though I'm in the middle line. But that NZ900 really had a huge difference. Like you said, I thought it compared with those Christies, you know. So I agree 100% with that projector. It giving those Christies a run for the money, especially
Yeah,
when you think of the difference in the price.
So I think they also had the 900 in one of the other rooms as well. I want to say the JTR room. They
Yeah, I
were
think
running 8K native content on this one in the
it
JVC
might have
room.
been the RBH room.
Yeah, they could
They
in
on the
one of those
RBH.
rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
because
think it was. I
they're
think it was
using
the
the bar
RBH
channel in
room.
the JTR room.
yeah, I think it was the JTR. The RBH had this small screen.
Yeah,
Um,
I thought I could be wrong. I don't recall, but I thought the RBH because didn't the JTR room have the Barco in it?
Yes.
Yeah,
So then it was the RBH.
yeah.
okay.
Do you know what size screen this one was, Don?
Let's see. I think it was a 150, if I do recall.
I thought they said
That's still
160.
160,
160.
150, somewhere in that neighborhood. Yeah.
I mean, JVC makes a phenomenal screen, and obviously seems to hit every projector, shootout versus, the Sonys and some of the other ones. So, value for it makes absolute sense. The one thing that, if you look at the Christie's, or any of that the Seymours were on, I think they started at like 180, 200, 220, and and going from 160 to 200 or 220 requires a lot of extra light output. So, I think
Yeah.
that's the one start looking, not to diminish what JVC is doing in there. No horse in the race on it, but uh, the larger and larger you go, the more light you need, and
Right.
that's
Apples to apples. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
but,
No, I mean,
but like I said, I take a JVC. I'm in the middle of it now, and I've always been a Sony fan, and I think when it comes to panels, absolutely the best. But every shootout I watch, it's hard to say that it's not JVC when you watch them all side by side.
yeah. Yeah. No, I was impressed. I was definitely impressed with this projector. Um, You know, as you said, Chuck, I didn't think. You know, they said that yes, it's the same chassis, but they revamped all the guts. They revamped everything again. So with this projector. So I don't know. My being a dealer for them, my NZ8 may go up on the forums for sale. So, but not right away. I got to build the theater first, but eventually it may go up for sale so that I can.
The NZ 12,000 will be out then.
Oh, man.
Oh goodness, here we go. Here we go.
Mm.
Now the
All
gloves are
right.
coming off.
So I apologize for this in advance, but I want to talk about this room. I don't have. I think something happened to my footage for the Ascendo room. I do not have pictures of the Ascendo room, uh, but this room was probably my second favorite room as far as theater setup. It was. I love the solutions that they have. Um, as you can see here, some of they have a lot of on wall solutions. They have some in wall solutions also, and they were actually using some of the on wall solutions there. Did anybody get a chance to partake in this one?
Oh yeah, I was able to do it a couple of times. I loved it.
Yep.
That was a good room. I was surprised because the speakers, when you look at them, you're like, I don't know about this room
They're
because
so
it's
small and
slim,
lightweight, but the
yeah, it's
sound that those
lightweight.
things
But
produce is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
what they were doing was, yeah, like exactly. It sounded incredible. I walked out of there and I was like, wow, this was kind of like the surprise of the show for me, right? I
Mm.
wasn't expecting the room to sound that good, that clear, that just encompassing sound was really good with it.
Yeah, and I think they were using the Christie in there also. They played a scene from Godzilla versus Kong to where the I think it was Godzilla shot like a white light. It literally went like it shot something at Kong, and I'm telling you, Ike and I went in and we did this together, right? And I'm looking at Ike, and Ike is literally covering his eyes like this because the brightness of that white light that was shot at Kong. I mean, it was literally coming. And when they say that don't look into the laser, I know why now, right? So it was bright, man. I mean, Ike, what did you think?
Yeah, that was crazy. They need to put one of those flashing image, whatever photography, warnings that they do if you're gonna put that demo out. Those
Seizure warning.
photography,
There you
flashing,
go.
whatever. Yeah, because that thing was bright. It
Yeah,
was
that
bright.
thing they had that thing cranked up, man. It was I mean, it looked fantastic. I mean, it was really really nice. You know, Mitch, what you think about that? Did you get into that room?
I did. It was one of my favorites as well. That was amazing sound, amazing picture, just all around. Nothing bad to say about that.
Yeah, yeah, no, it definitely was, and like mentioned earlier, I mean, just the sound that was coming out of those speakers, and they are thin. Those speakers are, like I said, they're on walls. Brett, did you get a chance to see that one?
I did. I'm sure I got into this one. And like everybody said, it sounded phenomenal. I love when you can see because I think they had 16 subs in there.
They did.
And kind of in and
They did.
that allows you when you get the bass right, you don't need as big of a driver, right? So often you see everybody putting in huge tower speakers, be it LCRs or side surrounds or wherever. And the reality is, if it only has to play down to 120, you can get that out of it, 6-inch driver. And so I thought it was great. Yeah, it's much easier to put those speakers in. They don't have to sit way off the wall. So if you are going to use it as an on-wall solution, I think it opens up the door to to being able to put more speakers in or ceiling speakers easily. But I don't think anybody I did definitely say that it lost anything in that mid range to bass range. It definitely output. Granted, we're not all putting 16 subwoofers in in our rooms.
Right.
Right.
But I think it was a great way to be able to see too, because so many people in the last couple years, it's all been about digging deep with the Sendo, and getting into infrasonics. And last year the pictures were all about the 50-inch subs and everything else.
Mhm.
So being able to see what they were actually able to do, with the full theater, output. I've been in a lot of theaters that had Ascendo subs. I don't think I've ever actually heard a full Ascendo theater before. And so, I thought it was a great room for that, and definitely, makes figure out, hey, is this what kind of speakers do you want to? This is definitely a contender.
Yeah. Scotty, what about you? What you think?
Yeah, I loved it. Like I said a minute ago, it was a good room. The speakers surprised me. Just how shallow, how different. It's visually when you look at it and you see them sitting outside of the room and you're kind of checking them out. They had a few out there that you check out. Your expectation, I guess my expectation was kind of set lower when I went in to hear the room, and then when I went in there, I was like, what is going on? Like, where is this coming from? And it was a good experience. I liked it.
Yeah.
Um,
Paul, did you get a chance to hear this one?
Yeah, I went in there a couple times. That to me, it was funny because it was one of the rooms that had the most subwoofers and it had the least amount of bass. And when I say least amount of bass, I don't mean that in a bad way. Every room, including the Gramani room, the bass was just thumping hard, which is amazing. Everybody knows the Kansas City area and they love their bass. But this room to me was the most even sounding, especially in the bass, and the as far as this spatial audio, yeah, it sounded great for me. This hands down to me was my favorite sounding, most well balanced room, and it's funny because there was no treatment in this room.
Yeah.
yeah,
No,
there
I mean,
was.
I don't know if they were using waveforming or I'm not sure if they were
It was
using the new
Storm, so they're
technologies
using
or not.
direct art.
So they were doing the direct. Yeah.
Yes, the direct, and it was a Storm processor, so they were using art, which is specifically just to the Storms as of now,
Right.
right?
Right.
So a step up on the direct live, but yeah, I know Matt Trinkline specifically was calibrating that room because they were trying to do it at the same time as Christie was the story on Friday, because they didn't have enough time before the doors opened up at 5:30 or 6:30. So they were trying to do a video calibration and an audio calibration at the exact same time, which is not doing it.
All right. Anybody have anything else? And I apologize that I don't know what happened to my pictures and my video for this one. My card decided to do something with them. Can't find them. So anybody else have anything to say about this room? All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next. Let's see here. One other thing, I didn't get a lot of pictures of this, but the TV comparison room. Did anybody go into that?
Yep, I did.
So, what did you think about that, Ike?
I think the star of the entire TV comparison was outside of that room, which was was it the G4?
The G2?
The G2, yeah, the G4 is coming out soon, but that G2, there was nothing in that comparison room that was close to that. And even when the lights were a little dim in the comparison room, that TV was just it was impressive, it was amazing. But Brian and FOMO did what they did. Their room probably I don't well outside of the Grimanda room, I think that room was probably had the most people coming in there and just
Yeah.
asking real questions, you know.
Hmm.
So it was good to just sit back and listen to all the knowledge that these guys were that they were sharing and just see the different TVs and just the different technologies and all of that. But
So
it's
just like the projector comparison. I mean, these two guys were in there spitting knowledge, man. I mean, they were flying through settings on TVs and everything else that, I mean, you could just tell they knew what they were doing. They knew every TV inside and out. They went through and you were able to actually see. I know they had multiple LG models. I think they had three LG models. They had one Samsung model in the middle, and then they had multiple Sony models. So you were actually able to see the G3, the C3, or the excuse me, the G4, and then so on. So you're able for LG, you're able to see the step downs for Sony and the step downs for LG, and they were all just set across a table, and you were just able to take a look at them side by side like you would kind of like you would do in Best Buy, but they were actually in order, right? They were actually in okay, this is the most expensive G4, this is the C4, this is and then so on down the line. And the only one that was didn't have different comparisons was the actual the Samsung one. But I mean, these guys are a vast of knowledge when it comes to TVs, and just fantastic presentation. There were, like you said, like there was probably 20 people in that room every time I walked in there.
yep,
So I mean, TV is definitely a part of home cinema. Just because you have a projector doesn't mean that you don't have a doesn't mean that you're not home theater. There's plenty of people with OLEDs. There's plenty of people with 55 inches. Whatever you enjoy. Is and we've always preached this on the channel. If you enjoy it and you call it your home theater, come on the show. Show it. We appreciate every size, every 100 inch, a 55 inch, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You know, but I'm very grateful to these guys coming out and putting on a show like they did, or a presentation like they did in this TV comparison. Anybody else get a chance to check this out? Paul, did you get a chance to check this one out?
I did not actually experience that room this year at all. I went in there whenever they were setting up, and that's and they had all. And I went in there just and walked around for a second, but I didn't actually go in and listen to any of the new technologies and or any side by side comparison type of deals. Um, so I don't have much to say about this. I wish I would have got to hang with FOMO or Brian a little more. They're great people. Um, but yeah, I didn't have much. I did see the gigantic TV, obviously, and yeah, that was pretty amazing. It looked pretty heavy. So
So what about you, Brett? Did you get a chance to check this one out?
I did not. I did not. I wish I had, and definitely want to check it out for next year. Because again, I think it's one of the more useful demos for people, and it sounds like a lot of people got a chance to demo that, which is great. Um, the one thing I'll say from a general panel and what I've been seeing in the last couple months is, obviously LG was making most of the panels, and for Sony when it came into OLED and things like that, Sony definitely seems to be pushing mini LED now, and it's been pretty impressive from what I've seen. So like I said, it's interesting to see how all of that shifts, and um, like the two have always been together, and I think they're still all great brands. But it's interesting to see how fast video technology changes. When you think about plasma technology to um, LCD to LED to OLED to and now mini LED. the technology has changed so dramatically. Um, it's good to have, like you said, education on this side where
Hmm.
people can get reasonably objective thoughts on products like this.
Yeah. How about you, Chuck? Did you go into the TV comparison? I know up until just last year, last MWAVE, you were a big OLED guy, right? So, what about you? What did you think about this room? Did you get a chance to go in there?
Yeah, I did go in, and actually, I never had an OLED, but just I was just a
Oh, I'm
TV guy.
sorry.
Yeah,
TV, yes.
and I thought it was a great room. Like you said, they were very knowledgeable when I asked a few questions, and then I was also checking out. They had those those like what do you call it? The speakers. They had a sound bar in the front where the big TV was the front, and then they had these small, almost book-like speakers that the guy was telling me about. So if you got your family room system or something, or you want a surround sound, and it's all wireless. So
Oh
I
yeah, that's the new Sony setup that they had. It replaced the A9 system. That I forgot the new name now, but yeah, that was the new Sony system that they had out. I believe Andrew Robinson gave that a nice review. So if you
yeah
guys haven't checked out his review on that, it's the new Sony system that replaced the A9.
yeah, and it was the size of like a textbook. They were flat, just a square thing, all wireless, and I thought that was a great something for whether you want surround sound in your bedroom or the family room. It just made it easy. So I was more impressed. I was more interested in that at the moment. And
Right.
but I
Yeah, I
enjoyed
thought
the room.
about doing something. It's called the H. Let's see. It's called the Bravia Theater Quad. Let's see if I can pull that up here. So let me go to Sony's site. Took me to Amazon. There we go. Share this.
Yeah, those are them.
Yeah. So those. They got a pretty good review from Andrew Robinson saying that they're actually better than the old A9 system. Um, and I actually know someone, Jonathan. He's been on this show. He actually has the A9, and he's done nothing but rave about it. He put that A9 system in his bedroom, and he says that thing sounds so good that he don't want to, because his theater is in like a detached structure. So he's like, man, that thing sounds so good. I don't even want to go outside to, to go experience my theater. And granted, he's got focals and a 150-inch masking screen in there with a trim off and everything else. So that ought to tell you how much how good this thing sounds if you don't want to make the trek out to listen to your theater with that type of equipment. So, but yeah, no, I saw that they had them set up in there. I didn't ask too much about them.
Yeah, they're
Todd, did you get a
literally like
chance to
two
go into
inches
the
thick.
comparison room?
Hmm?
Did you get a chance to go into the TV comparison room, Todd?
Yeah, actually, Tony and I went in there, and actually, it was pretty cool to see, how amazing these new TVs are, and that massive 100-inch beast or 98-inch that they had up against the wall was amazing. But like for me, it's like if you were to take any of those things and bring it in the room, you'd be happy, you know.
Right.
But it was really cool though to be able to, because for me, I'm not enough of a video file to know all your different little idiosyncrasies with all the different screens, but it's amazing, like you said, for the technology. Because I mean, up until this last year, I mean, I was rocking a 55-inch Westinghouse, which was I was okay with that as long as I always had a good sound on my for my surround sound, and then now I got LG stuff. So I'm pretty happy for 86. So I'm pretty happy with that. But it's like just the technology and stuff that they have out there now, and the prices coming down. I mean, you can get a TCL 100-inch screen for what 2 or 3 grand now. So it's just it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing in this technology that they have. But yeah, that was a really cool room to sit. But when they started going through, and I was able to sit through a little bit, and then Tony's like, "Okay, Dad, let's go. We got to move on." So you just kind of take what you could do, and off we went. So yeah, but it was really cool to see the differences, like you said, to see your high end LG, the Samsung, the Sony's, and the TCL all right there, and be able to see the differences and have them all similar settings and everything. So it was a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it definitely was. Anybody else get a chance to go to the TV comparison room?
See you, Paul.
Paul's waving his hand.
Yeah. Later, guys.
All right, see you, Paul. Thanks for joining, buddy.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take that same opportunity, Don. So
Yeah, no problem. No
I
problem. Thank you.
appreciate
Thank you
you.
for joining, Brett.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Love the conversation, and yeah, I'll,
So, for those of you that aren't subscribers to Brett's channel, make sure that you head over to Facnatics and give him some subscriptions, and check out a lot of the educational information that he's got on here. He did a fantastic job. I know that Michael is going to be putting out the seminars that they did. So I think it's going to be like a video on demand type of thing, to where you get the seminars. He should be putting them out soon if they're not already out. But make sure you guys check Brett out and doing those seminars.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, Facnatics, it's a newer channel, um, and having a good time with it. So yeah, like I said, you can see a lot of the content that's on here, similar to what we were talking about, and then Michael will have it video on demand wherever it comes out. And then just so because you got it up right there right now, through the month of July. So now through July, we've got that contest. So to kind of kick off my channel, I'm actually giving away a pair of Bowers and Wilkins PX7S2E headphones. So, like I said, we gave a pair away at MWAVE, and so I gave away a pair there. But I had bought a pair because I needed some new ones. I had actually helped on the design on this product, so I wanted to be able to hear them as well and dropped a review on them. But if you click onto that video, there's a QR code and all that kind of stuff on there, and you guys can register. If you watch the content, you can actually get extra entries into the drawing. And basically, you've got until the end of the month. So, plenty of time to be able to watch the videos, get all the entries that you want in there. And I'll be giving away, like I said, a pair of $400 headphones just after the end of the month.
No subscription, no headphones. Make sure you subscribe to his channel.
I don't make that a requirement, but I appreciate that. Don says you have to
And
subscribe.
click
Or
the
you don't
bell
win that.
icon so you get notified when new episodes come out.
That's right. So trying to do it. I'm very active on there, so I answer. If you look through the comments, every comment that gets made, I put in a response on there. I love this stuff. So like I said, I appreciate the extra plug on there. Definitely check it out. It's a little bit different than everybody else's content because it is a lot more educational. And we'll be putting in my media room, my gaming room, and my home theater system, along with some trainings on lighting control, shades, outdoor audio, a whole bunch of stuff. If it's tech based, I'm probably gonna have some videos on it. So
Very good. Very good. Well, Brett,
yeah.
thanks again for joining. I know you got to jet out. I know you stayed on way longer than you anticipated, but that's what this show's all about. We just keep going, right? So
we go until the last one falls off, right? So, I appreciate it, you guys. I will catch you guys later on. Don, if you ever need me on here, I'm always happy to join up.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining in. Appreciate you.
Thanks for joining, Brett. Yeah.
Take care. Thank you.
I'm actually gonna take this time to drop out too.
Okay, time
No
to end the
problem. No
show.
problem.
Time to end the show. It's 11 o'clock.
I'll see you guys.
Yeah, it's
12
probably a good
o'clock over
time.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so we got through a lot of the rooms. Let me just show this one last room that or not even a room. I really wanted to show this. Let's see. It was for, I don't know that it's even listed on here. Let's see. So, oh, there it is down here. So in this Arvolution, I don't know if you guys got a chance to set up to see the actual table at Arvolution, but they had some interesting stuff going on over there. Where is it at? There we go. So one thing that they had was the I found very very interesting is that the NAS is back in the U.S. So the Arvolution, it'll hook right up to the NAS, so you're able to use that. And the other thing is they had the world's first ISF fiber optic cable, so it got its first certification, and it was fairly inexpensive. For what they are. I know I've bought an Arui Pro, I've bought the Monoprice fiber optic cable, and for what he was telling me, it was fairly inexpensive. They also have cable solutions to where you can actually pull the end off that so that it'll fit through your conduit or wherever your a tight space that you're trying to pull this cable through, and you can put it back on and off. Ike, did you get your video out for this one yet?
yes.
Yeah, so make sure you
Damn,
go over
dog, you
to
don't
Ike's
even watch
channel
my
and check
channel,
that out.
man.
Uh, he's he's got all the particulars on the video. But it was great meeting up with Raphael. Did any of you guys get to check out the Arvolution booth?
Yeah,
I
and they
did
have
not.
those bendable HDMI cables, the ones they're made of steel, the casing, and you can twist it and snag it without it breaking. So that's
Without the
good.
fiber breaking
Yeah, the
inside. Yeah, he
fiber
was
breaking.
literally
So
twisting it around and everything. So some great options for cables that I've not heard of before. But the Arvolution player, we did a live unboxing on this, and Ike's got a fantastic review of the 8K, 4K, and 8K player on his channel. And then the other thing is that they got the mini coming out now to where it has the same power as the 8K, except it doesn't have the drive, right? So
the
you'd have to
4K, it
hook up an
doesn't do
external
8K, it
drive to
does
that,
4K.
or just use it in tandem with the 8K.
It doesn't do the 8K, it does 4K.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still got the same processing
It still
power
has
and all that
everything,
stuff, though.
yes. Yep.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
So with
that
that
should be
being
out
said,
next
we'll
month.
go ahead and conclude the MWAVE portion. Next week, I have some theater tours that I would like to show you. But before we do go, Todd, I know last time we had a little bit of technical difficulty on showing your theater. Are you able to dial in so that we can?
Yeah, I'll do that real quick. All right, hold on. Here we
So,
go.
Mitch, did you get a chance to take a look at this while Todd's dialing in? Did you get a chance to take a look at the Arvolution solutions?
Very briefly. I mean, I use Plex and an NVIDIA Shield with my own NAS at home, so it wasn't something that. I mean, it was very cool, but yeah, I didn't get a chance to check it out that much.
Okay, yeah. No, the Arvolution. I mean, it's snappy, man. It's very very snappy. All right, Mr. Todd, I think we got you. So go ahead and
All right.
give us a
So
tour of the
yeah,
room.
this is my little bitty room here. It's a 7.4.4 system. I'm in a 12 by 12 room, and like I said, it's a little something. May not be to everybody's taste, but it's to my taste. So let's just start off here. We'll just start off with the basics. I got a 86 inch LG It's like the 700 or 7000 UHD 2022 model I picked up last year for Christmas. And then I've got a 4700 Denon. Um, I'm using as my processor. I have a Sony uh, 800 Blu-ray player. I'm still old school kind of guy, so it's so we're doing the still got 4K Blu-ray. I've got Monoprice 7X for my base layer, and then for my Atmos, I'm using NAD 272 for my front channels, and then my I'm just using the 4700 for the for my rear channel, and
So what is
then
that speaker that you're using for the center there?
oh, that's a old car stereo stuff. I'm using I built that. It's actually I'm using Vandersteen speakers everywhere else, but I didn't have a Vandersteen center channel, and they're pretty pricey. If you bought them new, they're like $2,000. So I was like, well, what am I gonna do? And I still had speakers from my car stereo days, so I ended up building that. It's a three-way. It's a full three-way system with the passive crossover, and I'm running that also with my 7X, and it's they're 89 dB sensitivity and 6 ohm, just like my Model One Vandersteens, which is right here. And then also for my front over here, I'm actually doing a Model 2 Vandersteens for my that's my LCR, and then for the sides I'm doing a another Model 2 Vandersteen, and then I've got for my rears I mounted the VSMs. They're the kind of a bookshelf type speaker here for Vandersteen. It's what they use for their home theater surrounds. And then I put them in walls. Sorry about this. Just putting the covers back up. So I'm running a full seven. I've got a full seven base layer system, and then I'm using Model Ones also for my Atmos. So I've got the same 8-inch and tweeter um,
Oh
for my
wow,
setup here.
that one's a big tower up there.
It's
Are
pretty
you
good. So
hanging a tower?
yeah, it's got a they're about I don't know, probably about 3 feet tall. They're there,
Wow.
and then so I've got and that's also there too. Yeah, I've got it on on a um, on a 25-degree base, and then for my subs in my 12 by 12 room, I've got 4 stereo integrity HT18s, and they're all custom boxes I built. So and they're in a 4 cubic foot box. So I've got one there. I've got one kind of over here, and then I've got one over here, and then one. I did one in the walnut there, and it kind of gives you a little idea here. I've got seating for 5, and then you can basically get a idea of kind of how small the room is here. But it's a pretty immersive system, and then with the amplification, I'm using the CVR 2004 4-channel. It's a Pro Audio um, amplifier, and it's rated like 2000 by 4 at 8 ohms. So so we've got pretty good power in here. But yeah, so this is my little system I've done here for my system, and it's just because it's mainly me my little dog's here.
Yeah, I was hearing the dog snoring earlier.
Yeah, and that's him. He doesn't go far with me, so it's just, and they
I had to
started
double
barking.
check
So
to see if you were awake on the camera. I
yeah,
was like,
oh yeah, no, it was him. It was him. And then and then you could see my other little guys over here. That's Rexy there. That's my little doodle. So yeah, this is my like I said, this is my little system I threw together.
that's
So
nice. I thanks for resharing that again with us. Definitely
yeah,
appreciate the craftsmanship that you put into those subwoofers there. I actually like those a lot.
yeah, I was figuring, yeah, why go with something pretty basic black, and then I've got the here. I'll show this real quick. Um, so coming into my room here, I've got uh, I've got these barn doors here that I made up, but they're it's kind of
Oh, so you can. Oh, yeah, I can see they got the like. It's almost like the slab look. I see that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
Oh, that's
nice.
neat.
It's kind of like a legit barn door type of
Uh-huh.
setup, but 99% of the time the doors are open, because if I close the door and the dogs aren't under, they think they're getting punished. So so yeah, so I don't quite have any light control. Well, the room's black, but then I still have the windows. So I mean, I'm using a TV right now, so it's still um, it still gets pretty dark because my outside, kind of where I live at, when the lights are off outside, it's pretty dark in here. So yeah, that's kind of, like I said, my little system here. And then, like I said, coming in here, it's just I have to go all the way out of there to get a little bit of a picture. So yeah, so it's like I said, I got my 3 seats here, and then my love seat here, and then you basically get near field every seat, but the money seat. So I'm kind of towards the KC kind of guys with the base, but it's a good place to be watching stuff. And then and then actually up here I kind of have some sound. Those actually look like the Vandersteen speakers, but they're actually DIY sound panels. So I got 2 sound panels there, and then I also have sound panel there, and then I made one that goes all the way across the base here. So that's like 2 sheets of double rock wool, and then I also have another panel here. It's a little dark in here.
Oh, so
So
they're absorption then.
yeah, they're all 6 inch. They're 6 inches thick, and then the on the front they're full length of the rock wool, and then the ones in the back, because initially on the backs I had my Vandersteen speakers kind of cut up. I cut part of the sound panel off, and then but I had to sit everything up so high because they were, you had to clear your head, and it made it so that there wasn't much channel separation between my rear Atmos and my rear surrounds. So instead, on here, I basically I flipped the speakers upside down, and then I dropped it all the way in, so all my bass tweeters are on identical level. And then like I said, with all my surrounds and everything, I've got the same tweeter and 8-inch driver in the room, so it's a pretty consistent sound in here. So it just
That looks great. I mean, like I said, I like some of the craftsmanship that you got going on with, you made those boxes yourself, very resourceful. Um, got some nice character in the room with some of the posters. Uh,
yeah.
thank you again for sharing that with us.
Oh,
I know, I know last time we
thank you for
had a little bit of
letting me
technical
fix.
difficulty, but
Yeah, but thank you for letting me fix my fuck up. Excuse me. My technical difficulty of showing my painted walls for the last one. So I was like, man, that was bad. It's like we just got to delete that out. And thank you guys for everything you guys have done, and given me this opportunity to kind of show everything. But like I said, it can kind of show what you can do with a small room, because most of the time people with a 12 by 12 room, they're going to think very small drivers. Oh man, you can't put, you know, if you put an 18-inch subwoofer, that's just going to be too much. It's not. so,
Yes,
but
yes.
but
Well,
yeah.
thank you
Thank
again for sharing that.
you. All right.
Ike,
Well,
can you bring us back in, sir?
yeah, yep. I'll do that here. All right. Where do we go here? There
So
it is.
Thought
I
jump
have more
back in.
Ike, are you looking tired over there? Do you want to keep going?
We will continue next week.
I have more stuff. I have a lot more stuff actually.
Yeah. Save some for next week, right?
No problem. Yeah. So next week we'll I have, let's see, we're gonna go through some of the theater tours that I did. I did 3 theater tours. Chirpy's, Jonathan's, and Sheldon's theater. So we're going to go through those next week. Also, we didn't talk about Barco and the wall panel that they had there. Deep Sea Sound. We didn't mention them yet.
Yeah,
So that,
MWAVE is like a 3-part. It's like a 3-show conversation. We can have like
yeah.
3 weeks of
So
conversation. So let's not stuff our viewers with all of it like Thanksgiving meal.
so
Let's
we'll
save
do that. But
some
before we go, Mitch, this was you've been to multiple M waves now, right?
I've been to every single one.
So give us a rating, 1 to 10.
Oh,
What did you
boy.
think of the show?
Easily a 10. They've gotten better every year. So I was
Ike,
glad to see the vendors that were there, and I'd like to see them again next year.
It's always a 10 for me. I'm not gonna rate MWAVE. It's always a 10. The guys put in a lot of efforts, in comparison to the other shows that you have. This is the one place where I can actually really have fun and not have it feel like I'm going for a business deal. There's still obviously that taking place, but majority of it is just, having fun and getting to meet people. So that alone is a 10 for me.
put
I know
this comment
people
up.
have their own complaints, but it's a 10. You said
Put
what?
that last comment up from Evan. So
This one?
no, well, yeah, we did give him a shirt. You're quite welcome for the shirt. No problem. But he says, "Great show, guys. M Wave was fire." So yeah, I have to agree with that. I went last year, and one of the things that I asked, Michael, just to put together like a schedule of stuff, so that you would know, because I actually missed a projector comparison last year. So it was great to have everything organized and have everything, to where you can look at a schedule for the seminars and actually show up and everything. Ryan and Michael, and I keep saying Michael all the time, but Ryan and Michael, they did a fantastic job with this show. I mean, it's unlike any other show. It really is.
Don't forget Rusty.
And
He's the
Rusty,
event
yeah,
coordinator.
absolutely. You are 1,000% correct. I apologize, Rusty.
And all the volunteers out there too.
Yeah,
they also did a great job. So
yeah. Scott, what did you think?
It was an awesome show. I did last year, and this was next level compared to last year. So the organization, the running of the rooms, the separation of, the big base to like even like the TV room, right? The TV comparison room. There was thought put behind everything. Even the badge. Did you show them the badge and what they did? They put like your state in there, and all the yeah. So there you have the room guide. You have a QR code that takes you to all the different events that are happening. It was really well thought out. Yep. And then there on the front, you see besides the name, the second thing down, the thought was put into putting your location there so you can actually find other people in your area to hang out, meet, potentially make new friends, check out each other's systems. So Great job, guys. Great
Yeah,
job from.
no, it was fantastic. Todd, final thoughts?
Oh, I had a great time this year, and actually I went last year too, so it was both. And then thank you guys to the Kansas City guys for opening your homes up. Amazing, both both years. Like I said, I did Ivan's. I was actually the only one for the morning for Ivan's tour. It was
Oh,
Tony. Tony was supposed to come with me, but we actually went to Sheldon's the night before, and while he was setting everything up and going through his clips, he let me and Tony come over there for that. So he was like, "Dad, what time do we have to get up?" Oh, I told him, well, probably about 7:30. He's like, that's too damn early. It's like he's out of school now, so if it ain't 12 o'clock, it's too early. So it was just end up just being me. So I had the full 2.5 hour show to myself, and then I did the chirpy stuff at the middle show, and then Sheldon's again this year, and then I did Ryan's, Grant's, and Jonathan's last year. So that's always a. And going to these things, I always tell people ignorance is cheap, because as soon as you go down the rabbit hole and you listen to all the stuff, all your money goes away. So it's like, oh man, that's what the good stuff is. Son of a gun. Now I got to upgrade all my stuff, because like I said, the my system from before MWAVE last year to what I have now is like, it's a whole different world. I had my 5.1 stuff and Vandy front and back, and then now I've got kind of go a little overboard, but it's a good place to be though.
So I give them a little teaser. Just share this real quick for next week's show.
okay. Let's see. It's
Who's that awesome dude, man? Maybe
So
you need to get
next
another picture.
theater, we're going to cover Jonathan's and Sheldon's theater also. So listen, everyone, thank you for joining. Appreciate you. Everyone that came up and said hi and that you enjoy the show and everything else like that. We definitely appreciate you. You're the reason why we do this show. You know, we really appreciate everyone that tunes in and watches. Guys, next week we're gonna, Mitch, if you got time, jump on in again, man. So Scotty-O, same thing. So until next time, we'll see you on the next show.
thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
guys.